Welcome back to the Wine and Dime Pod. I'm Chris and that's Lyndsay. We've got a bottle of Santa Margarita Brut Rosé, popping a little bit of bubbly because this is the second annual Jalen Rosé Midseason Awards. Very prestigious, very fancy. Very
Everyone
honorable.
cares the most. It's the award. It's the award show everybody tunes into more than the Oscars, more than anything else. It's probably more popular than the ESPYs. I would hope it is. The ESPYs suck.
Yeah, I will be accepting awards on all the guests' behalf because none of them could make it. It was a really tight schedule. They'll all be very happy to receive their placards in the mail.
For the sake of time and just not needing, we don't have time for speeches, and also just logistical. It made more sense for us to just. This is like it's like the fake award that the award that Tracy receives, the Pacific Rim Award in 30 Rock, and they like set up the whole video conference for him and all that stuff. That's what's happening here.
We really just didn't want to do the Taylor Swift on a private jet going everywhere thing. We wanted to save the planet, so we didn't fly out all of our award recipients.
Environmental sustainability, that's what this is about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
and also
100%.
Since I don't know. The LCBO still hates us. That's just like the running bit. So I'm also drinking a different wine than Chris again. He's got, the Santa Margarita Prosecco. I'm also drinking bubbly rosé, but this one is a Cremant de Loire, which is basically just traditional method sparkling from not champagne from France. It's Cab Franc and Pinot Noir. It's really good. But anyway, bubbles, because awards. Awards are fun.
There we go.
It's a good way to talk about like the season at the midway point. I feel like we're at that like the doldrums of January, all-star trade deadline, all that crap. It's more fun to talk about awards and give people their flowers or not flowers, depending
I
on
guess
who you are.
in some cases.
The wilted flowers? I don't know. But anyways, might as well just dive right in. I'll let you take off the first one there if you like there, Chris. I'll let you go first.
The Andy Dwyer Mess is Fun Award, one that we ran last year. Reigning champ is Jimmy Butler, ever the diva. But this year I'm going with Rich Paul, who went on his own podcast to propose a trade for his biggest client's team, which is one of the wildest things I've ever heard. And not only that, but they asked LeBron about it because, that's his agent proposing that he trade one of his two best teammates. And
Agent
he's like,
and
whoa,
best.
I don't know how you could think that this is coming from me. Rich Paul's his own man, blah, blah, blah. And, that would be believable if... And you know what? Actually, I take it back. It's plausible that Rich Paul and LeBron are not on the same page on this. He is his own person. But for LeBron to act like we're crazy for assuming that this is coming from him is ridiculous because Rich Paul's job, and the whole reason we even know the name Rich Paul, is because he publicly and privately represents the interest of LeBron James. It is literally his job. It is literally the driver of his career. So when he comes out there and says, hey man, maybe I should trade Austin Reeves for Jaren Jackson Jr., of course we're going to assume that he's had a conversation with LeBron about that shit, and that's what LeBron wants. Like, why would we not assume that? We're not stupid. He's not stupid. He should know that too.
Well, and there's also the added element of like, well, first of all, I think Rich is a very fitting award winner here. He is the messiest bitch to every messy bitch when it comes to the NBA. And yeah, you're right. LeBron definitely like is kind of the shadow winner of this award as a result because again, messy bitch. He's not directly in charge of this, but again, like you said, we all know where this is coming from. And it's giving the I think you should leave bit, we're all looking for the guy who did this, the hot dog suit guy, after he crashes through the window in the hot dog car. It's kind of giving that vibe sometimes where it's like, we're all looking for the guy who did this, and it's like, my brother. Please. We're not stupid. We're sick of this. We've been doing this for 20 years. We all know what's happening. And I guess like LeBron, like his whole place on the Lakers, like all that, like it's all been very like, I mean, like even Rich Paul's statement in the summer after they traded for Luka, and like in the summer, his statement about like LeBron's looking for, his best interest or whatever the statement was. And it kind of led them to believe like, does he want to leave the Lakers? Like what's happening here? So yeah, Rich Paul definitely stays messy.
Yeah, why would anyone think that I had anything to do with this? Oh, you mean the guy whose job it is to make the things you want happen is openly proposing this, and we're not supposed to assume that you want this to happen? I'm sorry, like, maybe you're right, but you know why we assumed this. You know why we did.
Yeah, I gotta admit, like, this is related, but like LeBron's games are getting kind of old now. Like, I'm like, it's kind of giving, to me, it's giving the vibe, because he's still amazing, like, so this doesn't quite fit, but it's kind of giving, like, player like, say, like, comparatively, say, like, John Morant, and even he's done more, but, like, someone like Kuminga, for instance, who we'll talk about later, but he, like, demanding a trade, like, wanting these things, and it's like, you haven't done anything, and it almost feels like kind of the opposite with LeBron, where it's like, okay, like you've been doing this a long time, but your stature still doesn't match the message. Like you're not the player you once were. You're at the end of your career, we all know. Like you're still amazing, you're still LeBron, but like the stick you're wielding isn't really quite as big as it used to be. Like, or we're just not taking it as seriously because you're not hitting as hard. So I don't know. It's kind of all very messy. It's very Lakersy. I don't think it's helping many of the vibes and situations in Los Angeles, but like, when are the Lakers not going to be messy, especially with all of their just like their ownership drama and all that crap? So really, LeBron should stay a Laker because it just fits his personality the best.
I mean, the Lakers are one of TV's longest running soap operas, so
yeah,
it fits the culture.
It does. It does. Absolutely. Well, speaking of their historic rival and a team, this is gonna hurt. The Call of the Ambulance, but not for me award is the Boston Celtics this year. We all thought after losing Jason Tatum that they would be shitty. And not just Tatum, they like jettisoned a lot of players. They got rid of Kristaps, they got rid of Giroux, they got rid of a few different players off their bench, like Luke Cornett was really popular and he's been really good in San Antonio. They really were very obviously trying to be like, well, we have no Tatum, let's just save some money this year and just duck under that tax line. Turns out they're still real fucking good.
Second in the East as of recording.
Much to the chagrin of me. They're still really good and I don't like that. Derek White apparently is amazing. Turns out he was always the straw that stirred the drink and well, honestly, this will just parlay into the next award, which I'll let you take, but their best player is best playering.
It's tough. We somehow found ourselves giving back-to-back awards to Boston Celtics players. To Boston Celtics, I guess, in general. This year, so as we talked about, there's an incredible number of Jalens in the NBA these days. It feels like there's more and more by the day. They're just multiplying. I think
it's like they're like the Mystics. They're like the Mystics.
Yeah. As of last year's award ceremony, I think there were 19 Jalens in the league. I don't know the count now, but it's probably not going to get smaller. And it pains me to say that this year's best Jalen is none other than chronically online Jalen Brown.
So the last known data is that there's still currently 19 players with NBA contracts named Jalen, including all spellings. But that was the 2024-25 season. That seems like it's the most recent. I haven't seen anything more recent.
People stopped counting, basically. But Jalen Brown's averaging a smooth 30 a night, shooting pretty well from the field, rebounding and assisting as well as he ever has. He's got his team second in the Eastern Conference. I mean, he's talking greasy too. Like he's talking real crazy.
It's actually crazy because like the joke, obviously the award itself is like low-key a joke, like most improved Jalen, but part of me thinks he actually has a real case for like most improved player because he was always good, but like that people always talk about like the obvious most improved candidates are the people who go from like, decent role player to like a kind of a star, like a Lowry Markkanen, like that kind of player. But like a harder jump is to go from like baseline good, sort of like not number one option, but you're basically there, to being like superstar. And like Jalen, it's pretty crazy how much he's actually just taken a step forward as that kind of player. Like his shooting is significantly better. His just efficiency in general, he's passing the ball better. He's making like way less weird decisions than he ever used to. It doesn't feel like the Jalen ball of old where you're kind of like, oh God, here comes some very terrifying shot selection. So he had a little bit of that Marcus Smart in him, and it seems like it's gone. So that's probably good for the Celtics. It is kind of funny though, because it's like the can Jalen and Jason work together crew is low-key like, popping back up, even though they obviously proved they can and they won a championship. But there's a little bit of like, well, but are the Celtics kind of just better with one of the Jays going on there? So that's kind of funny. That narrative will never die.
He publicly called himself the best two-way player in the league, and he's good enough right now. Assertion, you know what I mean?
I'm probably not going to laugh at him for
give it to him, but I'm not going to look at him crazy. That's a reasonable take, especially if you have the personal bias of being Jalen Brown. Like that's not an unreasonable take, I don't think.
No, and it's I would expect him to have that level of confidence. He's an NBA basketball player.
Yeah, I mean, if he was averaging 12 points a game and 0 steals, he would still, most NBA players would probably still say the best two-way player in the NBA. But
yeah,
he has
they're just not getting enough chances.
Yeah, I think probably top 2 or 3 in that area. You know what I mean? I think you might make a case for like Wemby or somebody like that, but because his defense is so overwhelming. But Jalen Brown is really fucking hooping this year.
But I guess as a guard, like if you're thinking about positionally, he probably is one of the best two-way. Yeah. I would say like him, like Anthony Edwards, like his defense wanes only because of just energy when he has to put up 55 or whatever, but he's a very good defender. He tries really hard. That's never been something you could say about like jaw, for instance, but like Anthony Edwards always fights hard, and I think Jalen Brown is like him, Anthony, like those kinds of players. Like they're probably not going to win Defensive Player of the Year because it's kind of honestly weird and stupid for guards to win them. It's really hard for them to win that award. Marcus Smart was the last one, and that was a bit of a mistake. But it's been pretty interesting to see Jalen Brown kind of morph into this player. Yeah. Anyways, now that the Celtics portion of the awards show is over, let's talk about something more fun. We have the Fine Work Award, which is
wait. We're on the topic of Jalen's.
Oh, shit. I missed a Jalen. My bad. Sorry. My bad. Most improved Jalen. So we had best Jalen, which was Jalen Brown. Most improved Jalen is a mountain of a man, Jalen Duren, our personal favorite player from 2K.
Every expansion draft, the last 3 2Ks, he's always, this is that real life season.
Yeah, he becomes your star real fast.
Yes,
yeah, it's amazing. I unfortunately watched the Celtics Pistons Brickfest last night, and like it was a good game because they're two good teams. They just neither of them were good at all at shooting. But Jalen had a putback, and I was like speechless. I don't know. He's just so fucking strong. I can't imagine hitting a Jalen Duren screen. That would be terrible. My body hurts thinking about that.
I think an all Jalen team could make. I don't know if they'd be a solid playoff team. Actually, they could the 6th seed. I think they could fight for the 6th seed. I think an all Jalen team.
Well, because we got what? We got Jalen Williams, Jalen Brown. Actually, we have 2 Jalen Williams. We got Jalen Williams at center too.
Yeah, we got a backup center, Jalen Williams.
Yep. So Jalen Brown, Jalen Williams, Jalen Johnson, Jalen Brunson, obviously,
and Jalen Duren.
Jalen Duren. Yeah. I mean, that's like a solid roster. It's actually solid.
That's a lot of players. That's a lot of players who were expected to go deep in the playoffs this year, and then also.
Yeah, like that's not bad. That's pretty solid. It's like a lot of players needing the ball. Like Jalen Duren definitely is like picking up the slack as far as like the screening and the not needing the ball in his hands part. Yeah. But I mean, like Jalen Johnson's been a really good. He was our most improved Jalen last year, and he's improved again this year. He's looking more and more like. I mean, the Hawks traded Trae Young because of him, basically. So I mean, I don't know. I could fuck with their roster.
I don't know what Jalen's 8 through 12 look like, but that top 6 is good enough that I think they might even push for home court in the first round of the playoffs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I might make this on 2K. I've made some really, truly deranged teams on 2K.
Well, I think we need to put this in we should definitely put this in a graphic for Instagram, or if you make it on 2K, we got to put this on Instagram for sure.
Yeah, I got to buy the new one first, but.
Yeah, too broke for that. I'll wait till it goes on a deep sale in February.
Yeah, I got NHL on sale, and that's the only reason I have it right.
I haven't downloaded an NHL game in forever.
You don't need to. I promise you do not need to. You're not missing out.
I didn't feel like I was, for being honest. Well, anyways, since I jumped ahead, we got the Fine Work Award coming up. That one's you.
Fine Work Award.
Inspired by Stanley from The Office.
All the putting my lunch, digging in the trenches, stereotypes, all that shit. We got the 2026 Phoenix Suns. A team that had so little expectations that the season began with Bill Simmons saying they were going to have the worst defense in the league, and the team's owner going online to argue with him. They have a better record than your NBA Cup, my NBA Cup champion New York Knicks right now. They are a legitimately good team. They're sitting at 7th in the West, just behind a Lakers team that might be a little bit fool's gold. Suns might not even be. I mean, people thought they were going to just fighting for, honor because they don't have any of their own picks.
Fighting for their lives, literally.
Exactly. Yeah. Just fighting to win 30, 35 games, if possible. They might be fighting for a legit playoff spot. And honestly, if they were in the East, they would have that shit wrapped up. But they're good.
Oh, yeah. No, that'd be good. The Suns, I mean, the funniest part about that whole little timeline he talked about Microwave Matt going on Twitter to, yell at Bill Simmons, which we've all done that. Who doesn't want to go on Twitter and yell at Bill Simmons? But we all, kind of sided with Bill Simmons, which is even the harder part to stomach, frankly. We all thought Microwave Matt was being a weirdo by going on Twitter and being like, tell the newspapers we're not that bad. And turned out he was actually right. So I guess big ups for Michigan State basketball.
The Suns right now, if the Suns were in the Eastern Conference, they would be half a game out of second place. But they're 7th because they're in the West. This team is good. A lot of players who nobody thought was that good are popping right now. Dylan Brunson started scoring a little bit better. Colin Gillespie, who we might talk about later, potentially has been hooping.
Yeah.
They're playing some ball.
It's pretty crazy. And they're just they're following their center rotation has been kind of interesting, and they don't even have their like Maluach hasn't even played or played well, which is unfortunate. But I have hope in my Sudanese child. He'll be fine. But the Mark Williams thing has worked out really well. The Nick Richards thing has worked out well. I was low-key hoping that the Raptors would try and pry Nick Richards from the Suns at the trade deadline. We need a backup, big, real bad. Any actually large-sized human that would be helpful. But anyway, yeah, the Suns have been shockingly good. Their defense has been so good. The offense definitely has been interesting. Like, you're getting the best of Point Booker right now, I think, that we've ever seen.
Yep.
Like you said, Dylan Brooks has been actually legitimately very good, and like the Suns are in an interesting little pickle with Dylan Brooks because it's like he's extension eligible, and it's like if he's gonna be this good, like do you just extend him? Like what do you do? Because like
he's 29.
The Suns are kind of in that position where like Oklahoma was in the Chris Paul year, where like they're way better than anybody anticipated. They're definitely frisky. They're probably not a real contender, but like they're gonna do something in the playoffs. They're at least gonna make the playoffs, and they're probably gonna like I don't know, just disrupt a series at the very least.
Even if they don't win. Ignore the shit out of somebody in the playoffs.
Exactly. Like even if they don't win, they're gonna definitely like make that top seed work for it. I don't know where they go from here, so this is where the fun challenge will be. But the fact that they've even rebounded from like just the disgusting saga of the Kevin Durant, like that triple, trading everything for Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal, and then all the terrible vibes and all that not working out, and then they've rebounded really quickly. To be honest, like obviously there's a lot of work to do still for like the future of the team, but the fact that that's even a team worth watching and like gives their fans something to cheer for and like not want to kill themselves every time they have to turn on the TV and watch the Suns play, it's something. It's good. It's like it's nice. There's something about having your team just actually be watchable and fun to play for, and like the vibes are good there. Like the players are all seemingly fitting well together. There's a really nice like connection. Like their coach is coaching his ass off, so it seems like the dude that Ishbia put in the front office is actually doing his job properly. So I don't know. It's like it's working.
One of the things to remember, and it's easy to forget, but the big trade acquisition for them, former number 2 pick in the draft, the Green Jalen, has only played 2 games this season, and this team.
Yeah, I forgot about him.
This team would, like I said, they would be the 3rd best team in the Eastern Conference. Like this is, I don't know how he's going to reintegrate when he comes back from his injury, but they're going to be a problem. The season ended right now. They played the Spurs in the first round, and while the Spurs are the potential championship contenders, Suns beat them twice this year, and they beat them pretty good too.
I mean,
they're not going to be fun. They're not going to be fun to play in the playoffs.
Hate to say it, but the Spurs feel a little bit like the Beam Team Kings, where like they're really good. But I do wonder a little bit, like, once they get to the playoffs, it's like that lack of experience. Like, they've had some pretty high-level games. I think this rivalry they're budding with Oklahoma is really good. But they're still young at the end of the day, and almost nobody on that roster has playoff experience at all, including the coach. So I'm kind of curious to see what the Spurs actually look like when it comes to, like, the real basketball like that. But, yeah, the Spurs. But the Suns are a legit really fun team. And, like, the best part about them, I think, too, is just, like, any team that's playing with house money is always, like, entertaining as hell to watch. But also, they're going to be hard to play because they're going to just be a thorn in your side. They're not, to some extent, they're just happy to be there. And they're going to play really friggin' hard as a result, too. So, yeah, the Suns are exciting, for sure. I mean, they also could have probably won the Call the Ambulance But Not For Me award. But I feel like, the Fine Work Award's probably more accurate because they've been better than that. Like, they've been surprising, but they're, they're actually just grinding out wins. They're doing good.
They have an identity, which they did not have the previous couple of years. Like they actually
which is funny.
A well-defined style of play.
Getting rid of your stars actually gives you more of an identity. Anything else on our Fine Work Award winners? The Stanley of the NBA's.
Shout out to they got Bradley Beal. They collapsed. They got Bradley Beal over on the Clippers now, and the Clippers are bad. I mean, he hasn't really played much, but because he got
also
another big injury.
Didn't he break his hip?
Acquiring Bradley Beal does not seem like it's a booming business. I
mean, getting rid of Bradley Beal wasn't even a booming business. The Wizards waited way too long. But anyways, speaking of blowing it, the Eagleton You Blew It Super Hard Complete Buffoonery Award goes to Kathy Engelbert, the illustrious commissioner of the WNBA. Because, I mean, she's not specifically 100% at fault for the entire mess that is this CBA negotiation, but she certainly hasn't helped it. And, she's just like the figurehead, I think, for all the shit going wrong. So she's going to win the award just by nature of like, you have to have the most public person get the award. It's like when a film wins like a movie or like wins like an Oscar or a Golden Globe, like only like the named people get to go on stage. That's kind of like where Kathy's at here. She's the figurehead.
If you're the starting quarterback and your team blows a lead and loses, nobody's asking. Kathy Engelbert is the quarterback. They're going to yell at her.
Yeah, I have yelled at her. Not to her face, but at least, in spirit.
You don't have access.
No, I do not. I would still yell at her if I did, though. Yeah, so I guess since we last recorded, we've passed the last possible deadline for an extension. We talked about this WNBA officially, like they had a vote to strike. They haven't officially, there is no official lockout yet, but the WNBA-PA is definitely gearing up for one. They've worked on deals with universities and various facilities across the world to allow players places to work out for players who aren't playing internationally or in Unrivaled or Athletes Unlimited. And also when those seasons end, obviously, players will need a place to go if there's no WNBA season. So that's interesting. There hasn't been a ton of movement since that happened, though. Just like a lot of posturing and just a lot of confusion about what the hell happens to teams like Toronto and Portland who are waiting to enter the league, and a whole bunch of players who are also kind of waiting to enter the league, and a whole bunch of players who are going to be free agents. We've kind of talked about all of this ad nauseum, but the stakes are really, really high, and I don't think we can like emphasize that enough for like how important this is, because everyone is going to lose really bad if there's no season. I feel like even a truncated season would be better than no season at all. So, yeah.
This might be one of those cases where the WNBA's weird schedule and relationship with college basketball might be a blessing for some players. Because if this was a normal league where the draft is right after, a little bit after the season ends, and that shit would be canceled, right? Like, so I think the draft and all that stuff being in April at least gives the league and the WNBA-PA a little bit of time to figure something out, or even a whole lockout could happen between now.
The draft is always in April, though. The draft is always in April.
That's what I'm saying. The fact that the draft is all the way in April means
it does give them
a whole ass lockout could happen and end before the draft even comes up, so it wouldn't have to be fully canceled. And this is a normal league schedule, like, and all this shit was happening. Like, there might not be a draft, there might not be free agency, like everything. There might be completely fucked up.
There might still not be, is the thing too. Like, that's still a possibility for sure. But you're right. Like, at least it does provide. I feel like what it will do is everything will just get pushed back if they come up with something. The draft would be maybe like in May, and they'd start the season in like June or July kind of situation to allow for new teams to onboard and stuff. But it's like, I can't imagine working in the front office of one of these expansion teams trying to figure out like ticket sales and like, what do you do? Like, you have this whole rollout plan. So like, now what?
Yeah, you got a GM.
Well, and they're starting to try and hire
detailed scouting reports you have ever seen in your entire life, because they ain't got shit else to do without free agency or expansion draft or nothing to worry about. They're gonna be watching fucking Tulsa versus Bowling Green in the middle of a Wednesday afternoon because they ain't got nothing else going on.
I feel like. Yeah, and I feel like they're trying to hire staffs. I feel like there's probably a whole lot of positioning going on right now in everyone's camps of like, okay, we have everything kind of ready, so as soon as the starting gun goes, we're like, bam, everyone can be signed, It's kind of, I feel like there's a lot of tampering happening that's just not going to be talked about, because
especially during Unrivaled. Paige Becker's talking in somebody's ear right now talking about, our shooting guard play wasn't it last season. You was looking kind of nice last year, This is how I imagine Paige Becker's talks privately.
Well, I also feel like she's hoping that her girlfriend gets drafted to the Mavericks, but yes, for sure.
100%. Hey, the way she's shooting it.
Well, we know that a Paige and Azzy backcourt works. We have proof in a national championship. So, like, we know this works. The Mavericks probably would be like, it would be the smart move for, even if they weren't
Wait,
dating.
the Dallas Wings?
Yeah, sorry, Wings. The Mavericks could use
some guard help too.
The Mavericks could actually use Paige, or Azzy.
Kyrie hurt.
Yeah. But anyways, the WNBA situation is definitely very messy and very scary, and I really do hope that they come up with some kind of solution. But I don't know, it's just like not feeling great. Unrivaled, the vibes have been kind of weird, like not bad at Unrivaled. They've been good as far as the players and everything goes, but I feel like it hasn't gotten as much attention. I also do think like it's been interesting hearing other players talk versus like Nafisa, because she's definitely also has more of like an invested interest in Unrivaled. It's been interesting hearing her talk about things, because she's definitely more aggressive in how she's like talking about things versus other players. Project B obviously remains kind of a thing. Tokyo was announced. Is the whole season happening in Tokyo, or is it just okay?
No, I think they're just the first location to confirm. I think they said
that's what I thought.
Cities all over the world, like a F1.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Situation.
That's good. That's what I thought. So I don't know, but the WNBA has a lot to figure out, and the fact that women's sports have never been so popular and they couldn't figure this out definitely is why they won the you blew it super hard complete buffoonery award.
Yeah, gotta be the worst timing to have everything go to shit like this. Man, it was on the up, you know what I mean? And it may still be when it comes back. that's my assumption that that'll happen. But it's, it feels like a little bit of a missed opportunity to spend, to have like all this free agency buzz going around and all this kind of stuff. But that's not the conversation right now. The conversation is, something other than basketball, because man, the non-basketball stuff is all kind of wrong right now.
I mean, I guess the silver lining is people are learning a lot more about labor rights and stuff. Yeah, but I agree. It's kind of like, I think the W would be fine. Even a shortened season would hurt it, but it would be fine. People are still going to watch. The OG WNBA fans aren't going to go anywhere, but you definitely miss out, I think, on some of the newer, like, NCAA fans and just newer fans to the game in general. I mean, the WNBA obviously has taken off in popularity in Canada specifically in the last, 5 years, and then now getting a team, and so it's like you really don't want to, lose the momentum of your first international expansion being kind of fucked by situations that aren't really, that are in your control and have nothing to do with the basketball itself. So it's definitely very disappointing, and it definitely concerns me, at least as a Canadian fan. I think that it's going to be fine for the tempo, but it just sucks being damn, our entry into the big stage is being kind of ruined by some unfortunate circumstances. Yeah, it makes it hard to be excited, I guess, and I'm just feeling more and more nervous that there's not really going to be a season, and I think it makes me more and more nervous for the state of women's basketball, because Unrivaled has definitely not seen the same success in the second year as far as just viewership and the hype. I really haven't seen as much, so I feel like they kind of are also still relying on the WNBA to come back. I think there's still this kind of just this connection to each other that they don't really want to acknowledge. I think Unrivaled doesn't want to acknowledge how much they still need the WNBA, and the WNBA doesn't want to acknowledge that Unrivaled is also doing things that they should be doing. So they're just circling each other. It's kind of weird. I don't really know what the future of that whole situation looks like. I suspect that there will be it probably is in discussion, though, during these talks, is the whole role of Unrivaled and things like that, because you cannot imagine that team owners and people like that are super happy about all of the shit going on at Unrivaled in terms of all the recruiting and tampering and whatever, right? So unless you're a team owner like the Sun, or the Mercury, who can benefit from that kind of thing because you have money and are willing to spend it. But yeah, it's definitely tough out there for the W. So fucking figure it out, Kathy.
We'll see. She might have to be browbeaten figuring it out, but you know what I mean. Fee gonna be yelling at her. She might raise her voice. She seems like a very calm person, but she might raise her voice in some of the meetings, man. She is fed up.
Well, I think Fee has been yelling at her, and that might be the problem. We might need some fresh
video.
yelling.
I need video of this. I really do.
I would love to be a fly on the wall in those CBA talks, for sure. Yeah. Anyways, pivoting away, we've got our next award here.
I don't know what I expected award. Last year was the Lakers. Perennial disappointments as of late. This year, the New Orleans Pelicans, man. And this is less about what I expected or what Lyndsay expected, and more about what the organization expected. Because this has got to be the worst case scenario for this Pelicans team. I mean, gave up a first rounder that could be the number one pick, because they have currently the worst record in basketball, to get Derek Queen, who now better fucking he looks good, but he better be that guy.
He basically needs to be Jokic now.
Yeah, you've got. And you can't even use Zion Williamson as an excuse this year. He's played most of their games. But this is not the best Zion season we've seen. Down to 22 points a game, he's the lowest scoring average since his rookie season. The lowest rebounding average of his career, other than 2023. That's a tie. Lowest assists since his second season. It's kind of feeling like Zion as franchise player just isn't a thing anymore. Supporting cast isn't really that good. Trey Murphy is obviously very useful, but Sadiq Bey is alright. Jordan Poole is your next best player after that. Unless Derek Queen pops and becomes a superstar, I just don't know what this franchise does. There's not really any cause for optimism. And who's trying to trade for Zion right now? He's had this is his first healthy-ish season of his entire career. And he still missed 14 games.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the Zion thing is kind of done. Everyone's kind of over it, because I think the availability just got to a certain point where it's we can't do this anymore. And I feel like that's even hurt. You can see that hurting a player like Ja right now, who's been better than Zion in his career in general and has been slightly more available, but not significantly. And that's starting to hurt. That hurts your trade value. It hurts just your value in the league. And it has definitely hurt the Pelicans in the past, because they didn't know how to play. They were one team with Zion and another team without him, and he was there enough that you have to be that team with him, but he was also gone enough that you have to still adjust to being the team without him. And it's really hard to build a team like that in any sport at any level, to be honest. Even just I've curled on teams, for instance, where it's your whole team just isn't together a lot the whole season. You're not going to be good. It's just really hard to fit random players in, and that's not even a sport that works the same as basketball, and we don't play as much, and the leverage isn't, but it's still, like, those things matter. Like, being with the same people makes a difference. And so the Zion situation's been hurting the Pelicans for a while, but then it's also, like, he's too talented to get off of that. And then now, the trade, the trade, as soon as it went down, everybody was like, what the hell? Because Derek Queen probably still would have been there for them without making that trade. And it doesn't matter now how good he is. It's never going to matter unless he becomes a future MVP and, like, multiple time MVP. It's a sunk cost at this point. So I feel bad for Derek Queen because now... Then the worst part is that they had a pick before him that they used on Jeremiah Fears, who they could have just used on Derek Queen. But they were like, no, that's too soon. So instead, let's send an unprotected first-round pick from next year. Like, the thought process, just like the asset management situation of Joe Dumars has been... catastrophic.
They thought they would be good enough for that pick to not make their fans hate themselves.
Having that pick is probably why the Hawks felt comfortable getting rid of Trey.
And this is not Derek Queen's fault at all. This pressure on him is unfair, but he better be a top 5 player if you traded all that for him. Like, the Pelicans just don't seem to have a plan. I mean, the Zion thing, like, it felt like he could have been Charles Barkley. He's that damn strong, but he's not even averaging 6 boards a game. I mean, the dude, this game's played. The injuries, I don't know enough about his situation to blame him for injuries, but it's just fucking unfortunate, man.
I don't think you can at some point.
He's in his 6th season, 24 games, 61 games, 29, 70, 30, 29. 29 so far this year. It might end up being like 50 or whatever, but I mean, that's 2 seasons with more than 30 games played for his career.
Yeah.
Out of 6.
Hard. Can't win like that. And I don't think you can put all of his injuries at his feet. Like, conditioning certainly an issue, but at some point his physiology was always a concern. This was a problem when he came into the NBA. People were worried about it when he got drafted. They're like, we've never seen a player with this size and this power. Like, we don't know what this is going to do. But, like, history doesn't show it's going to end very well, and here we are. I do think, unfortunately, injuries also stunted his development, which didn't really help either because he hasn't really improved as a player in any meaningful ways. But being hurt all the time also means you're not working on getting better. You're working on rehabbing. So, like, I can't really blame him for that either fully. It's just been kind of a whole mess. And, like, I don't blame the Pelicans for not wanting to get off of him sooner when his value is higher, but it's all because there was still potential at that point. But now it's like, he's a distressed asset who, I don't know what you do with it. And he's also a weird player to build around because he's kind of not a traditional player, like size. He doesn't have
he's not a traditional player like or a modern.
No, yeah.
Rebound. He's kind of a really strange player where it's like he's a non-shooting wing who's built like, a D1 defensive tackle. A really strange guy. Like, he has the Charles Barkley build, but he doesn't really have the Charles Barkley game fully because Barkley was an incredible rebounder. Zion has that, like, take it the full length of the court and jam on you type shit that Barkley had, but he doesn't have that, like, tenacity. I almost said tenaciousness on the glass. He's never averaged more than 7.2 boards a game.
He's not round mound of rebound 2.0.
No, he's the square. I can't think of a pun, but, like, you know what I mean. He's
he's ground bound.
I mean, it felt like season 3 was going to be his best season. He was averaging 26, 7, and 5 on 60% shooting, almost 61%, and then since then it's been not that. It's been not that.
It's rough out there for him. I don't know if the Pelicans. Well, and then on top of that, the Pelicans also have DeJounte Murray, who they traded for, and then he tore his Achilles after being bad. So there's just like a lot of shittiness going on in New Orleans, and that's really unfortunate for my fellow Saints fan brethren that they have to cheer for that shit-ass team. On top of
even Herb Jones has regressed. He used to be a shooter. Now he can't.
He was never that good of a shooter, though. That was actually pretty fake.
It was like a high percentage, low volume kind of thing.
Yeah. But it was his defensive prowess that was really what, like the Pelicans, and he was a good, like, the vibes in that place have changed too, like the Willie Green thing. Like, that team at one point was really, like, the vibes were fun. Like, the Trey Murphy and fucking Herb Jones, like, the Herb Jones, like, their thing was not on Herb whenever he got stops. Like, the whole team would yell that. That was, like, their thing. And I don't know, just they had an identity as something. But, yeah, Herb's been injured too, like, very injured the last few years.
Yeah, Herb had that almost 42% season from 3, and then he went the next year 30.6. Like, that shit was unfortunately, it was a flash in the pan, or maybe it was just the lack of creation around him or whatever, but it really feels like if your top 3 players are Zion Williamson, Jordan Poole, and Trey Murphy. No disrespect to Trey Murphy, I think he's really good, but it's not great. They need, and this is,
Trey Murphy,
unfair, they need Derek Queen to be fucking great.
I know. And he has that potential. It's in him. But it just sucks that you now have to put so much on that.
Yeah.
To make it,
He's
and
also
even then,
listed
again.
at 6'9". He's also listed
Yeah.
at 6'9", and like you can have an all offense, no defense center when he's 7 foot. It helps a little bit. When you're 6'9", it's a little bit tougher. It's a little bit tougher.
A lot tougher, for sure.
I want it to work for them because like there's always talk about moving the team from New
Moving
Orleans,
them.
selling the team. Can the NBA work in New Orleans? Attendance is down. They're not making money. Blah 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 blah. I
It's a
would love
Saints
for New
town,
Orleans to have a
sadly.
great NBA team. I would love for the fans to be behind them, but dog, they've just been mismanaged so badly.
Well, forever, and like absolutely forever. I mean, it's also very much a Saints town, and they're always going to fight that for sure. No matter who the ownership is. Being owned by the same person doesn't help, but it doesn't matter who they're owned by. It's going to be a problem for the whatever team is in New Orleans for going forward, and especially because I don't really just know that the basketball culture is that strong in Louisiana as like football, because it's very much like Saints. The hierarchy is Saints, LSU, and then whatever else.
The area produces players like De'Aaron Fox is from there.
Yeah.
But like, there's not really a dominant college basketball program in New Orleans. Like LSU occasionally gets great players. Obviously Shaq,
Well, the women's, and then the like
but
women's
like,
basketball.
The women's is really the only one. Like the women's is really the only one.
Yeah.
LSU basketball is not consistently good. They're not consistently in the conversation. They've had spikes.
And LSU women's basketball only became that once they got Mega Mulkey. So like,
man, Mulkey is such an interesting character. I would watch an ESPN 30 for 30 on Kim.
Me too.
I would watch it I'd be like, hey, pause the podcast. I would go watch that shit.
Oh no, we got to do like a little podcast watch party for sure. I would totally watch that. That'd be so interesting. She's a fascinating person because like I want to dislike her so much more sometimes because she's honestly not a very good person in so many ways.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, man, like you got something though, because players still love
her though. She's in that genre of sports figure where it's like I'm not confident she's a good like human being. But the team fucks with her. It's like I was talking to you about Tom Brady off the pod a couple of days ago. I was like, probably not a good person, but by all accounts an incredible teammate. And it's that type of person that you get in workplaces. You know what I mean? It's like that's my work buddy. I fuck with them heavy at work. I do not talk to them outside of work.
Well, and it's not even like, and you can tell with some coaches, it's like players go to that program because they know if they go there, they're gonna go pro, they're gonna whatever, right? Like you go to that program knowing it, and you kind of put up with like the abuse and shitty coach. I don't get that vibe with Mulkey. Like the fact that FloJ's doing the shit she does on social media, like literally wearing Kim's fucking clothing, like, and Kim like participates, kinda, like like, and she acts like she's annoyed by it, and she probably is, but like she still goes with it because she also like. I don't know. I think she also genuinely loves it and like loves like the players. Like there's definitely there's a difference for sure with her where it's like exactly that work friend that you fuck with heavy at work, but outside of work, like no.
If you
never seen you
from like the South or like the worst like beliefs, but then like when they're around the person whose politics they're hurting, they know how to act because they're like they grew up in an area where they're actually around. You know what I mean? Or it's like they know how to like move in like black spaces, but then they get out of black spaces and act crazy. Like I don't know, man. Mulkey is an interesting character. I still think of that gif of her dapping that random dude up in the crowd all the time. that was some strong dap, man. She did that shit without looking. I was like, damn, Kim.
You know what's like funny though? The thing about Kim is that I don't like. I'm certain of it actually that you could definitely call her a racist and be like accurate. But there is absolutely no denying she's a giant fucking homophobe. Because she'll rock.
Apparently she's from Louisiana. I was trying to figure out where the fuck she was from.
Yeah, she is. She's from Louisiana. Yeah. No, that's why she went back. It was in her LSU introductory press conference. That was like a big thing why she took the job is she wanted to go back to Louisiana. Because she played at Louisiana Tech. That was like a big thing. And then.
Yeah. Won a natty, right?
Yeah, the Texters did, yeah. And then she won with LSU too, technically. But yeah, she chose the job at LSU. I mean, obviously, they threw a disgusting amount of money at her, but also she wanted to go back to Louisiana, was what she said. I mean, I'm sure she said she would have said anything if anyone paid her that amount of money. She would have loved Alabama too, but
man,
the Tide weren't about to pay her that money.
Man,
I don't know. I feel, but like the thing is like she fucks pretty publicly and like heavily with like her black players. But not if they're gay. That's where the line goes up publicly. Like obviously.
She was a Baylor before.
Brittany Griner. Brittany Griner is like the most famous example, but there's been others too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing that sticks out of my mind. Where I'm like, every time I'm having fun with Mulkey Mania, I think about the Grinder situation, and I'm like, damn.
Yeah,
Damn.
that one's tough.
And especially since I fuck with
agree.
Grinder heavy, you know what I mean?
Well, totally. Yeah, I mean we all do.
My former neighbor, man. Shout out to Brittany Grinder.
She's the best. But actually, she's investing in her creating an app thing to help people with like basically try to avoid situations that happen to her. So
it's for people traveling with prescription
medicinal
medications.
marijuana.
She's setting up a service for that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's super cool. But anyways, back to
really cool person.
She is back to the awards though. We finished on Dead Dove. I don't know what I expected.
Yeah, the Lucille Bluth. I don't know who this is. Yeah. This is no fault of his own. Goes to Ryan Rollins.
Yep.
The Milwaukee Bucks lost Damian Lillard to a torn Achilles in his 30s. They went and got themselves a big man, and they were severely lacking at guard. You know, you got a team with Giannis, you need a guard, you need somebody who can shoot. They unearthed a guard from nowhere
he was on the Wizards, I think, last year.
Yeah, he was a
wizard.
bench warmer on a bad team. Unearthed him. He starts hooping, starts truly hooping. He's shooting the ball really well. You know, all the things you would want on a guard that's playing next to a incredible slasher and driver like Giannis. Yeah, he's declined a little bit since early in the season, but he's still hooping, man. 16 points, 39% from 3, 5.5 assists. Perfect compliment to a guy like Giannis, right?
Well, especially considering his previous credentials were like less than 5 points a game.
Yeah. Again, breakout guard out of nowhere. You know, perfect compliment to your best guy. Hasn't fucking mattered because they still suck. And that's so unfortunate. This is the thing you needed. The thing you needed happened. And y'all still ass.
It's like the thing. It's the thing that happened. Like they needed, but it happened too late. Because like,
yeah,
teams like the Bucks were when they had say like Drew Holiday and they had just won the championship. And within those kind of few years, excuse me, I have the hiccups now. Sparkling wine, terrible for podcasts. So like a couple years ago, like I don't know, this is always the issue with title contending teams, right? You're picking in the 20s. It's hard to get good players. You have no idea what they're going to be. So you need to find those diamonds in the rough. And it sucks that they found theirs way too late. Yeah. If they could have found him like 2 years ago, this would have been so much different. But yeah.
Ryan Rollins is the Bucks' third leading scorer. Number 2 is Kevin Porter Jr.
I was just going to say, the other thing that's depressing about the Bucks is that they're like, wait to judge us until you see us with like more KPJ minutes than Giannis. And I'm like, if you're relying on an abuser, sorry, but I first and foremost have to point that out. If you're relying on that man, you have some serious problems that we need to discuss. Milwaukee.
PJ giving you a little under 17 at below average efficiency. You've got Bobby Portis as your 4th leading scorer, which is fine. Bobby Portis, nice player. Number 5, Kyle Kuzma.
Colin Kuzma?
I almost said Colin.
He might as well be Colin Kuzma because he hasn't been Kyle in forever.
I was thinking of a different Colin, unfortunately. You got Miles Turner, your big acquisition, who's shooting just 42% from the field as a center. And then you've got, Cole Anthony, we thought would be a really nice compliment.
It's almost like Miles Turner required a good point guard to be good.
It's almost
crazy.
Like it, huh?
Crazy.
We thought that Cole Anthony would be a really nice compliment to them, give you some scoring off the bench, some shooting. He's shooting under 30% from 3. He ain't hitting shit from the field. He's only averaging 14 minutes a game. Gary Trent Jr. is also not shooting the way he normally does. This is just a really rough
Gary Trent Jr. is my favorite Raptors dodged bullet. I'm so glad that we did not extend him.
I thought you were just going to say he was your favorite Raptors player. I didn't know that was
no, at all. Absolutely not. I mean, I liked Gary. He was fine. But I had hope for Gary when we traded for him. Like, the Norm Powell for Gary Trent Jr. trade was kind of weird for me mentally because I was like, you're just kind of swapping players who are basically the same player, but Gary's younger.
Wait, can we talk about how the Bucks have 2 Garys on their team?
That's weird.
It's very unusual for people in that age bracket to be named Gary. Like, that's a very baby boomer name.
Wait, who's the other Gary?
They got Gary Harris on the team.
That's where Gary. Aww.
And scoring 2.7 points in that. And he was fun in Denver before the injuries. He was fun. He was a good player.
Just gonna say, you know who I need to go back to Denver is Gary Harris.
Man,
he needs to reunite with Jokic for his final season because I kind of became a Nuggets fan like in 2018ish. So like Jokic, it was kind of like actually the play that specifically made me a Jokic fan is like one of his more famous ones. It was against the Raptors, and he threw a cross court pass to the corner to Jamal
Yeah.
Murray for a three. Like he was on the other 3-point line and threw a pass like that went around the arc essentially. Like the way he whipped it, the angle was just so wild. And so then I started watching the Nuggets after that because I'm like, who the fuck is this man? And here we are. And I remember that first season because it was like that I really started watching them. It was basically like the season after that win and get in against Minnesota that they lost. And I remember like loving Gary Trent Jr. or sorry, not Gary Trent. Oh my god, Gary Harris. Fuck. There's like two Garys in the NBA and I can't get them straight. The Gary Harris was so good next to Jokic. He was like his vet and he was just like the perfect guard next to him and he was so good. And then yeah, the injuries just killed him. And it sucks.
He was that 3-and-D guy that everyone
actually like love Gary Harris. He's like such a nice. He seems like such a good dude. Like he just his personality was amazing. His vibes were good. He was like the perfect player next to Jokic. I would like him to go back to Denver just as like a vet. You know, like he would never be the same player
on every team I made on 2K.
Yeah, because he was good.
Yeah.
Not. He had some potential. I think when he was like really like he had some star potential with the Nuggets before he got hurt. Like I think he legit could have been a very good player, and I think they would have kept him over Will Barton for longer.
He wants to average 17 points a game.
If he hadn't been hurt, because he was legit like a very good like scorer. And I guess the problem was they also needed a player like Aaron Gordon more, so is what it is. But it all worked out in the end because Aaron Gordon is Mr. Nugget.
Good.
But
he's good.
He's been so perfect for the Nuggets. But yeah, I just
they've been perfect for him too because
Orlando's
trying to make him an ISO number one scorer, throw him some grenades in the clock was never working. But
no.
Jack of all trades, do everything you need. Number 3, number 4, he's been fucking phenomenal.
No, he's perfect, and I really hope the Nuggets can keep Peyton Watson because I think Peyton Watson is like the next kind of in line to be that player. But yeah,
the next Jokic buddy too. Like he needs to. Like, Peyton Watson needs to bring Jokic to Long Beach the way that Jokic brought AG to Serbia.
I agree. 100%. No, for sure. But yeah, the Bucks not good. It sucks because Ryan Rollins is legit good, and I hope that he finds I hope the Bucks keep him. I mean, I don't think they have any reason to not keep him. They better keep him. They don't have any other real talent, so they should. But yeah. Anyways, moving right along here. Our next award is the No Crying in Baseball Award for the whiniest player, and I think this should probably just be renamed to the Luka Doncic Memorial Award for whiniest player because I don't think I've ever seen a player bitch at the refs and just be that fucking whiny ever. Like we awarded this to Joel Embiid last year, but honestly, Luka probably still should have won. It was just because of the Luka trade that we didn't really like. I don't know. He had stopped whining. It was like a little better, but like he is back on his bullshit fully. Like, and he. My partner and I were talking about this because she also like loves basketball, and we were talking about this, and it's like almost no other player can just tank the vibes of his team in a game like Luka. Like every team he plays on follows Luka, and that's great. He's your best player. You should. But when he starts whining at the refs and like not running back on defense and just being a pain in the ass, the team just fucking falls apart. And it's like it's his Slovenian national team. It was the Mavericks. Now it's the fucking Lakers, which you hoped would be better because they had better players like Austin Reeves. But no, like where Luka goes, the whole team goes in that sense. And like I heard Zach Lowe talking about how the Lakers have just kind of felt weird with Luka because Luka doesn't feel as like cohesive around Luka or like as previous. Like Luka, the vibes are definitely different, but like Luka has remained like the whiniest player in the NBA for sure. He lets it affect his game the most, I think, of anybody else. Like Jokic used to whine pretty hard, and it did affect his game, but he would like it would be for a player too, and then it would be fine. Same with Embiid. Like he's whiny, but like he gets, he'll get back in the game right away. But like Luka can like let a bad call affect like 5 or 6 minutes or like a quarter if he's not. He lets himself get disengaged like way too often. It drives me crazy.
He publicly said that he was doing too much whining to the refs, I think a season or 2 ago, and that he was working on it. Suppose not.
I think it was last season when he got traded to the Lakers.
Yeah.
And he had talked about it. And he got better for a while. But yeah. Because like the last year's playoffs, like he wasn't super whiny during the playoffs. It was fine. He wasn't the reason that the team didn't win. They just weren't that good. And they don't have the right roster around him either. They still kind of don't. But that's what happens when a player like him falls in your lap and you weren't really prepared to build your team around him. And you still have LeBron. But I don't know. He's just so goddamn whiny. And it sucks because I really like Luka. But it actually makes me like Luka less. It makes like watching him less fun. Because I'm like, when are you just going to be a whiny bitch and ruin the game? Because it gives very big like picking up my ball and going home vibes.
Yeah.
Like I kind of hate that. So he, I think, is the whiniest player for sure. And probably like I said, this award probably does need to be renamed the Luka Doncic Memorial Whiniest Player in the NBA Award. So, yeah. Anyway.
Next up, we've got the Dr. Leo Spachemin Medicine is Not a Science Award. And the grand winner is the Dallas Mavericks, who seem to be missing everybody at all times. Speaking of Luka, they went and traded him away for because of his defensive effort or whatever, and they were like, "We need someone who can come in, really
we need defense.
Contribute on defense." And they go and get Anthony Davis, who you may be shocked to learn is out with an injury.
Actually, the funniest part,
not his fault, but it fucking sucks.
Sorry to interject. The funniest part about the we need more defense and then trading for Anthony Davis is they were also citing Luka's injury concerns.
Yeah. Luka who had missed not that many games.
Only to trade for Ambulance Davis, as I like to call him.
Yeah, my goodness.
I mean, I love AD. I feel bad for him. This is not meant to be shade at AD. I feel so bad for him. Like I feel genuinely terrible for anyone injured that often. But like, bro, how?
Derek Lively played 7 games. Anthony Davis played 20, and now he's out with surgery.
I'm actually worried about Lively.
Kyrie Irving hasn't played the whole season.
Yeah.
Klay Thompson is 1,000 years old, apparently. He's not crazy old, like in reality, but I think
his body is.
He hasn't quite aged in the way that maybe people expected, because people are always shooters age so well.
Yeah.
It's a little bit rough for him. He's averaging 12 a game on.
And to be fair to those people, the shooters do age well when they don't have an Achilles tear and an ACL tear in back-to-back years. Yeah.
Those were not the Mavericks' fault, but still.
But I mean,
Russell's thing, and it says illness right now, and I'm like, damn, y'all getting him sick too, y'all out here, man.
Well, I mean, that could be anything. I don't know if he's actually played that much generally. I mean, they started
D'Angelo Russell the flu.
They started Cooper Flagg over D'Angelo Russell at point guard at some point, so that says everything about how Jason Kidd feels about D'Angelo Russell.
A lot about how D'Angelo Russell is regarded around the league these days.
What actually kind of drives me nuts about the Mavericks currently too is that they found a really good player in Ryan Nembhard, like Andrew Nembhard's brother.
Yep.
And he's been so good for them, and then he's back, like, basically not playing. And I don't really understand Jason Kidd's thought process on that. Maybe they're winning too much. I don't really know. But Ryan Nembhard's, like, legit good. And they found that diamond in the rough, and they're not even playing with him. They're not really playing him. It's confusing.
Nembhard leads the team in assists per game. Number 2 is...
Yeah, because they've had to play him at point guard.
I think he's trying to do the thing he did with Giannis that one year where he said, you know what?
You're the best player.
As the point.
Here.
We're going to give the ball all the time, and, like, even if we take our lumps this season, we're going to make you a better playmaker because you fucking have to be. And I think it may be a good long-term play for the team, but now, it's not going to look great.
Ugly.
You know what I mean?
It's ugly right now. But I also do wonder...
It might be good for Coop. It might be good for Coop, but it's not going to be good for 2026.
But I also partially wonder sometimes if it is, because I do think having a real point guard around young big men really helps.
Yeah.
And
DeAndre
Ryan
Ayton,
Nembhard...
once upon a time, learned this lesson.
Yeah. Ryan Nembhard is at least a real point guard. Like, he's not an amazing player. He's a rookie, and he was an undrafted rookie, if I'm not mistaken, or a very, like, late drafted rookie. So he's not exactly, like, you know, your fucking Chris Pauls of the world by any means, but he's certainly at least a real point guard who can organize the offense and, like, plays a very heady game. He honestly reminds me of his brother. They play very similar. They're just very smart players. Yeah. Not necessarily the most athletic or the most, like, they're not elite at one thing, but they're very good, just as a baseline. But yeah, I agree. It's probably overall beneficial for Cooper Flagg's, like, development to get to be point Cooper. But some talent would also just help him develop better in general. And I don't know what the hell the Mavericks are doing currently, but they're there. They are technically a basketball team, and they beat your Knicks by a lot.
They were up by 30 at halftime in New York. The Knicks, I don't want to derail this into a Knicks conversation. I may be wearing a Knicks shirt, but I don't just think about the Knicks.
Well, I was just about to ask. Actually, neither of our teams are actually on the awards list. We have given nobody from our teams an award.
I didn't even give Jalen Brunson best Jalen, if anybody's wondering how much my personal bias sees.
Yeah, you didn't even argue. Awards. When I suggested Jalen Brown, you didn't even argue.
I pitched the entire Boston Celtics team and the Boston Celtics most annoying player for awards. I am not that biased. I'm not that bad.
Neither of us can be accused of being homers because neither of us have a Raptors player or a Knicks player in here.
Yeah.
At all.
I didn't even think about the Raptors, and I live in Toronto. I didn't even think about, like, Scotty Barnes or...
Actually, to be honest, I lied. I do have a potential award for a Raptor, actually. It's in the docs.
Is it like worst concessions prices, Toronto Raptors?
Well, yeah, for sure, but no.
I will say, though, shout out to the Toronto Raptors for having an arena that is attached to a train station so you don't have to fucking pay for parking. That shit is a game changer.
I just put the Raptor award in the doc if you want to look. But yes, I agree. That is lovely, helpful. It's honestly actually a nice arena. I've been there once, but
That's a good pick. That's a good pick. He's a
I thought so. Yeah. Actually, genuinely speaking, we're in different places with our teams because, like, I'm very happy with the Raptors season so far. It's been a bit frustrating at times. But, like, I was telling, actually, my partner and I were talking about
We won the NBA Cup. Who says I'm not on Cloud 9? That's the most prestigious award in basketball.
My partner and I were talking again the other day, too, like, watching the Raptors, where it's, like, it's frustrating when they lose in frustrating fashion, but I'm also happy to have stakes again. It's, like, nice to care. Because I didn't give a fuck the last few years. So I kind of, like, I think that's why I'm so big on the Suns, too, is I'm, like, I can empathize with being a Suns fan right now, where it's, like, your team just was genuinely not a good time for the last few years, and it's nice when it is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, for sure. The Mavericks are terrible, and they beat your Knicks, and you're right. The Knicks do need to make a trade. Also, question, this is kind of hot. This is very hot takey, and an interlude for sure. Is Cat the problem?
I'm not going to go as far as to say the Cat is the problem. Cat is... So our best two players, or our most important two players, are Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns, right? They are both that type of player who is very specific. Like, there are some players who you can say, you know what, we can put them on any kind of team, and that team is gonna thrive. Like, Anthony Edwards is someone who can, like, guard the ball, guard off the ball a little bit, shoot the three, finish at the rim, ball handle, do a little bit of playmaking. He's the kind of shooting guard you put on any roster, and it makes that team better.
I mean, see also
First example that came to my mind.
Yeah.
Or like a prime Klay Thompson, who's loses out the ball,
100%.
plays D, put him on any team.
Has like enough ball handling too. Like, he's a very good ball handler. Yeah. So if you put him on a team with another dominant ball handler, it just gives you that second look. Like, that's why he worked so good with Luka.
Yeah. Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns both are that specific type of player where if you have them on your team, your offense has to mold around them, and your defense has to protect them. And you can have one of those guys in your lineup and compete for a championship. But can you have two? That's a little tough. Jalen Brunson can't guard.
Yeah.
Karl-Anthony Towns can't guard.
Yeah.
Towns can at least rebound. So if you have another big who can play D, you can kind of make it work.
Cat weirdly
will try on defense in the playoffs, but just can't. If your other guard can really lock up, you can make it work. And if your bigs can lock up, they can make it work. But your offense and your defense have to be built around both players. It's hard to do that with two of those guys. It's like it's what I call the Phoenix Suns problem. I've called it this before. Steve Nash and Amare Stoudemire. You can't have two guys in your lineup who you have to hide on defense. You can have one. You can't have two and have a championship level defense. So the problem is, the Knicks would never trade Brunson, obviously. So Cat kind of becomes the scapegoat naturally. The question is, what do you get for Cat? Maybe you can make it work. The Wolves had an elite defense with Cat in the lineup 2 years ago.
Yeah, they also had Rudy Gobert.
They also had Knicks have Mitchell Robinson, who was not in the starting lineup currently, which is a little weird.
He's also injured a lot.
So he is, and they've been scared to play him in back-to-backs, but I think you might just have to bite the bullet and fucking put him out there.
Yeah.
But you probably can't start him and Josh Hart, because Josh Hart, not a shooter.
No shooting. Yeah.
So either you say we start him and Josh, and we just go all in on offensive rebounding. That's all we care about.
Yeah.
And Cat and Brunson are going to shoot it, and they might brick it, and we're going to try to get that board. Or you just say, hey man, somebody's got to go. Somebody's got to get traded.
I got to be honest. I actually think Mikal Bridges has been like a giant disappointment. He's like a nothing. He's been a good defender
this year offensively. But yeah.
Well, in that game against the Mavericks, he was an absolute nothing.
Carl actually 50-40. He's shooting 50-40, but like,
yeah,
he's not a particularly good ball handler. He should not be second or third on the team in assists.
No,
he's not that kind of playmaker. The problem is you have him and I wrote about this a season ago before the Celtics series, and I was wrong because the Celtics did lose the series. But in Bridges and Anunoby, you have two guys who are really strong defenders, especially off the ball, and who can shoot the three. Neither one of them is a ball handler or creator. And so they were trying to replicate what the Celtics did with Brown and Tatum, two wings who were two-way players who can shoot, score, pass.
They missed the ball handling part.
Yeah, the ball handling and passing part is not there.
I don't know what
two guys who can't dribble. That means Brunson's got to dribble.
So my thought on that is that the Knicks scouts watched Mikal Bridges in Brooklyn and were like, okay, creating on a shitty team, he can do it.
Yeah.
I don't know what they saw in OG Anunoby and made them say, yeah, he can become a better driver. Because, the Raptors tried it. We tried to give OG the ball. a lot more. It did not end well. Every OG Anunoby drive was like, oh God, like what kind of fuckery? Because I love OG. I love him to death. He is my baby. I will protect him forever. I'm an OG stan and have been forever and will remain that way, even though he's a Nick now. Love that man to death. He can do no wrong, except for the part where he looks like he absolutely has no balance on offense. It's weird because like I've never seen a player that agile, that like athletic, that incredible on their feet on defense, can get around screens, can like everything. He's on his toes. But as soon as he has a ball in his hands, he like falls over. I don't get it. How?
Offensively, he sees everything that's happening before it happens. Offensively, he's like, oh, fuck. Oh, my God. No. Like, the defense is collapsing. Oh, no. He can attack a closeout and get to the rim. It'll look really awkward, but he can finish when he's there. But if you need him to, like, if a rotation comes and he needs to make a decision, it's not good. We're talking about a guy who 2.2 assists a game, 2.1 turnovers a game. Like, we're talking about a 1-to-1 assist to turnover ratio.
And it's, I believe, I don't have
an absolute zero as a playmaker. Still a phenomenal player because of his shooting, his defense. He rebounds his position okay, but a zero playmaker. Right?
I don't have basketball reference up right now, so I can't really say for sure, but 2.2 assists feels like about his career. Like 1-to-1 career or assist to turnover ratio seems about right. For him, anecdotally remembering watching him in Toronto, like he genuinely, not a good passer, which is fine. We never needed him to be a passer. It's just the problem is that when the Raptors needed him to dial up his offense and be more of a driver, like more, do a bit more, he couldn't. And then complained about his offensive role because he wasn't getting more. But it's like, well, you haven't really developed, so I don't really know what you want here, buddy. Like, I love OG, but that was getting a little weird because he was being a little, like, he wasn't, it was weird because he never officially said anything, and no player ever does. But you always hear, like, reports about a player being unhappy with their role and whatever. And I suspect he probably was unhappy with his role. I mean, every player thinks they're better than they are. You have to. That's the nature of being a professional athlete. You have to either believe in God or think you're God. But it was a bit annoying because it's like, homie, I watched you fall over trying to get to the rim with the ball in your hands many, many times in the last 5 years. Like, so many times. I love him. I really do. But he's not going to ever be the offensive player that, like, and that's okay. He doesn't need to be. But when you put him and Bridges together to be the next, Jason and Jalen, like, that doesn't work. I don't know what those scouts were watching. I just don't.
If you got OG as one wing, the other wing needs to be able to ball handle. So going back to Cat, so I found this tweet earlier today. I think I sent it to you, and it was kind of interesting because
the campaign,
Towns. The first they were talking to him about the booing, and he was like, "Man, if I paid $140 for a jersey, and I paid 3 times the normal price to go to a game on MLK Day, and we got whooped, I would boo us too." And then somebody said, one of the reporters said, "This is the same roster as last year, right?" And Cat was like, "I wouldn't say the same roster. That's disrespectful to guys that were here last year who were the real heroes of our season. The campaigns and all the other guys who came through and really needed them. And the campaign thing, somebody dug into this a little bit. This is super interesting. So somebody voiced some concerns. This guy, Red Holtzman on Twitter, voiced some concerns when they signed Jordan Clarkson to be the leader of the second unit. There's some interesting numbers for Cat. Campaign obviously was like a bit player on last year's team, the backup point guard. Karl-Anthony Towns, with Campaign on the field, on the court, 33.8% usage. Without Campaign, 24%. Points per 75 possessions, 32 with Campaign, 23 without Campaign. True shooting percentage, better with Campaign than without. Free throws, 3 more with Campaign than without. Plus minus, 7.8 with Campaign, 4.7 without. Campaign, apparently, or I should say, maybe not even Campaign specifically, but just having an actual point guard in the second unit made all the difference for Karl-Anthony Towns, who can create for himself a little bit, but not that much. And Jordan Clarkson is out there with blinders on, man. He is dribbling, step back, shooting. He got the high hand all the time in his mind. And sometimes, like in the NBA Cup, the last couple rounds, he's hooping. And when he's not hooping, oh boy, did you not see that guy wide open.
To be fair to Jordan Clarkson, that's always been Jordan Clarkson.
100%. And they knew that when they got him. When they got
him. So I was listening to the most recent Low Post episode that came out, or not, sorry, oh my God, it's the Zach Lowe show now. It'll always be the Low Post in my heart.
Low Post is a way better name. Way better name.
Yeah. Fuck you, ESPN. You ruined a good thing. Anyway, actually, I will say, it's almost better now, though, because hearing Zach swear is still kind of jarring, but fun.
I didn't know he was cussing on the new pod.
Yeah, he cusses on the new pod because the Ringer doesn't care. It's kind of funny.
Shit.
Yeah, it's weird. It's really weird
Shout out
hearing
to
him
Bill
say.
Simmons.
Yeah, it's super weird hearing Zach Lowe drop f bombs, but I'm into it. But anyways, Kurt Goldsberry's on the most recent episode. I think it dropped this like today, and they were talking about this Knicks thing because Zach was actually in the Garden for that loss when everyone's booing Cat and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And the campaign thing is super interesting. He did not bring it up, obviously, but I do think it's really funny. But he did talk about how like the problem for Cat to some extent is that he's also just a magnet for this kind of attention, even if it's not
Mm-hmm.
really his fault entirely. Like he's just a magnet for that stuff because one, he's just a goofy dude, but two, like he just you've never seen somebody so athletic make such weird physical like just motions with his body. Like he looks like Lurch from the Addams Family when he's driving, but he's like a very athletic person. So it's just like very
Yeah.
funny, and he's just a magnet for that kind of stuff. And they
Looks
also
great moving forward. Looks goofy as hell moving sideways.
yeah, right. And then he's like at least once a game he's like well, and then like Kurt Goldsberry was joking. He's like yeah, he found a way to hit Najee Marshall 17 different ways in the balls yesterday while driving to the rim, and it's like, yeah, pretty much.
And I
But
feel bad, man. I feel bad because Cat seems like a really solid person,
so
and the amount of like online and like in person sometimes hate that he gets seems wildly out of line with what he
it
does
does.
on the court.
He does set himself up for some of it, but at least
The
like
offensive
with
fouls drive me fucking insane.
well,
But
I
like
do love
generally
that.
speaking, he cares and tries. Like, but the
No, I
fans
do
still
love that
fucking
a
gross.
real bit that we have going is that every time he commits an offensive foul, no matter if we've been texting that day or not, you'll always message me being like, "Cat offensive foul."
Man, one of them he didn't even have the ball. I was so mad.
It's actually like one of my favorite things about our friendship is that like even if I haven't really talked to you a lot that day, I will get a text when Carl Anthony Towns commits an offensive foul. But I'm like, that's how you know you're
He
friends.
loves an untimely offensive foul. Let me tell you,
He
he
really
loves
does.
it.
But they were talking about actually the NBC. I didn't watch the game, but they were talking about the NBC halftime broadcast and about how both Tracy McGrady and Vince Carter were like, there's a locker room problem here. There has to be. Like this Knicks team, there's something going wrong. There's something not right in the chemistry of this team. And no one's going to directly say it's Cat. No one's blaming Cat. They didn't imply that at all. But just that like they saw something vibes wise where they're like, something's not right with this team. So I'm kind of, do you see anything with that? Like vibes wise, that something's just like not quite vibing?
Somebody on Twitter suggested there was a little bit of a schism between guys who were upset that Tibbs is gone and guys who are not upset that Tibbs is gone. I don't really read too much into that because I'm not in the locker room, not plugged in
Yeah, I
like
mean, no.
that. But I will say that like it's kind
No,
of a
I
weird
mean, you never
situation
would.
where the coaching hire of Mike Brown I don't think was necessarily a bad idea, but I do
No.
think that the front office sometimes lacks imagination. Where look at a team like we talked about the Suns earlier. They
Yeah.
went and hired a guy who had not been an NBA coach before. You know, a lot of teams get these
Isn't he an
retreads who've
MSU
been
guy? Oh, no,
fired
that's the
multiple times. You know, multiple firings didn't work out here, didn't work out there,
He's a retread, for
and you
lack of a
kind of
better.
right, exactly. You know, journeyman coaches, right? I mean, guys who've coached some pretty good teams, guys who've never made it over the hump, and it's like when you get somebody who's been around the block a few times, you kind of know what it's going to be. And
Yeah.
I do sometimes wonder if what if the Knicks had hired and maybe they're a little risk averse or whatever. What if they'd hired one of these new up and coming assistants or something, somebody with a little more maybe imagination or a little
Yeah.
more forward thinking. But also the roster is just really lopsided. Like I
I was
talked
gonna
about
say
before,
a
two
problem
bigs
for
who
the
can't dribble.
yeah. A problem for the Knicks with that coaching hire though is that you have such a roster that you're not gonna necessarily want to trust someone who's never commanded. Like when the Raptors hired Darko, I really didn't know what to think about him other than players were actively tweeting congratulations at him. So I'm like, okay, well he must be a good dude because players rarely ever talk about coaches up publicly unless it's like the standard like boilerplate like oh yeah coach blah 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 like players. I think you can pretty genuinely tell when players like a coach or not because they will actually unprompted say things or the way they talk
Yeah.
about it. You're like, you actually care about this
God,
a little
the
bit,
way the Pats
right?
talk about Mike Vrabel. Oh my
Right.
God.
And
Oh
you
my
can you
God.
can
They
feel
love
that
that man.
you can feel that in Toronto with Darko. The players fucking love Darko. He's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that probably speaks well to them because he like just has this energy that's frankly too much sometimes, but I love it. I would die for that crazy Serbian man. Serbian Mr.
I interviewed someone who used to be on, who works under him basically, and
Yeah.
he loves Darko too.
And like I remember was it actually Devin Booker like tweeted about being like, man, like congrats to Darko because Darko was an assistant with with the Suns at some point. And Booker was even like, oh yeah, like hell yeah, Darko, and like all the Grizzlies coaches or players were like cheering for him and stuff. So like
Yep.
he had, when he got hired, that's all I knew about him. I'm like, okay. And then the team was so bad that I'm like, I don't know how to judge this man because the team is terrible. And this year, it's like the team is starting to make like meaningful strides, and like he's making meaningful strides as a coach. You can tell his out of timeout game is like fucking lit. It has been for a while, but his out of timeout plays are like amazing. But you can tell you can tell the vibes of a team, right? Like even last year, like the team wasn't good and we sucked. But the vibes were not as terrible as you'd expect for a team that bad, frankly. And you can always tell. You don't have to be plugged into the locker room. You can just kind of tell. And so that's why I was curious if you could sort of sense like a vibe shift of like, it's obviously you don't need to be in the locker room, but like you can kind of tell when you watch your team. Like you follow them. And it's like, you can tell if they're fucking with somebody or not. And like, you're right. The Mike Brown thing was weird. I think he's a good coach. And I think he was probably a good hire. But I do think also the way the coaching search went for the Knicks was messy. Like they got rid of a coach, and then all the people they tried to get are already hired, and they're like, the teams that have them hired are like, why would we give you our coach? Like, no? Are you, what? The audacity? So I think like that might have probably, I don't know, thrown some wrenches and things, but the Knicks are in a strange place, and this turned into a very long Knicks rant, but it needed to happen.
Yeah, a team that went from incredible vibe, got exposed both in the Pistons series and in the series against Indiana. The roster was always a little bit weird, and something's got to change. But like, man, I just hope it doesn't mean that Deuce McBride is traded. I know this is a weird thing to say, but Deuce McBride is like my guy.
Oh no, he's been so good. He won't get traded.
That's my favorite Nick.
I actually don't think Deuce will get traded. I do think
he's the most tradable contract, but even compared to like Brunson and these guys, like he's my favorite Nick.
I don't think anybody would trade him necessarily though. Like, agreed, he's the most tradable contract, but I don't think the Knicks would do that. Like, I don't think he's clearly not the problem. Like,
yeah.
My one last thing on the Knicks, I would say like Tibbs is a coach who will bleed a stone dry. He gets everything out of that player and everything out of what he has. Mike Brown is not necessarily that coach. Like, there are some coaches who just clearly elevate bad talent because there's something they know how to. I don't know, like Mike Tomlin, great example, obviously. He's had a ton of terrible rosters with the Pittsburgh Steelers forever, but never had a losing record. Because he could
those teams should have been 4-13 every year.
Right, because he could just coach the shit out of it and just like draw blood from a stone. And I think Tibbs is clearly that kind of coach. And obviously he had talent. There's no denying there's talent on that roster, obviously. But something about the way he coached that, and maybe it's the fact that it was so top heavy, is it hides your flaws because you're not playing your flawed players as much. But yeah, I don't know. It's always like an interesting thing when the coach gets fired and nothing else changes really. And then you start to see like, oh, maybe it wasn't actually coaching. Not to say that this is vindication of Tibbs or anything. It's just I can see that
Tibbs got a team starting Elfrid Payton
to the playoffs. Yeah. So
we got to talk about
the
team may have correctly identified that maybe he wasn't the guy to get him over the hump. But dog, Tibbs could coach though.
But he was the coach to get him to the point where they're worrying about getting over the hump now.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Anyway, I guess we should continue with our midseason awards though. So
for the record, I was not planning on bringing up the Knicks, but I'm glad it happened because I needed to get that shit off my chest.
No, it's okay. It needed to be talked about. The John Wall ain't never ever seen you act like this before award. I'm actually gonna give it to the Detroit Pistons because like we had Colin Gillespie as a runner up here. Both work. I'm picking the Pistons though because we've just given very little airtime to the Pistons as a whole. On this podcast and in general, they're not getting a lot of airtime, and they're the number 1 seed in the fucking East, so like they deserve it.
I wasn't expecting you to take that one. I was like, how is she gonna pronounce all these words?
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
How is she gonna enunciate?
We're just gonna skate past this. We're not gonna talk about that.
I was like, is she gonna say before? Like, I don't.
You stole mine, so I'm stealing yours. It's fine. You can tell the bubbly is starting to.
We didn't write down who was gonna do each one this time, like we did last year.
Yeah. We're just rolling with it. You stole one of mine. I'm stealing yours. No, I'm super happy with the Pistons. I'm genuinely, actually, again, we were watching the game last night, and I was like, I'm not really cheering for anybody here because I'm not invested in either team, but like, to be honest, I can't hate the Pistons. Like, I just can't. I actually don't think that, of all the teams in the NBA, I actually think the Pistons might be the most like, and not this specific team, but just like the Pistons as a whole, are like kind of a team that's hard to hate.
The Pistons,
unless you're specifically like a Bulls fan or somebody who like has like a history with the Pistons, like, you know, like your team like has a deep like playoff history with the Pistons.
If you owe Isaiah Thomas money.
Yeah, like how do you hate them? Because like I don't know, the Wallaces, like that team, like that unexpected championship team, like I fuck heavy with that team. I love that team. Like I remember my first time that I got ever bought 2K. My player got, and it was before you got to choose which team you fucking went to in my career. My player got drafted to the Pistons, and I remember being like actually kind of happy about it, even though the Pistons were like deep in the mediocre, terrible Stan Van Gundy years. I was just like not mad at it because I'm like, hell, like I actually really like the Pistons. Like, how do you not like the Pistons? They're just kind of hard to hate.
Yeah, Ben Wallace was on the cover of 2K one year as a, I think. Yeah, he was on the cover of 2K5 as a guy who averaged less than 10 points a game. That's how fucking cool Ben Wallace was.
So fucking cool.
A lot of players, I went to high school in the 2000s, right? Everybody wanted to be, Kobe, maybe Tracy McGrady. Not a lot of people wanted to be LeBron, even though LeBron was incredible. Cause, like,
Well, because I think everyone realized
you be LeBron.
but I think you can't be LeBron. Yeah, that's the thing. You can mimic Kobe's game. You can't really mimic LeBron's game.
I wanted to be Ben Wallace. I was a lunatic.
Yeah.
So I had my afro grown out. I had the wristbands and shit. You know what I mean? I wanted to be Ben Wallace. I was trying to block everything, and I was super undersized for a big. That's all I was trying to do. I was trying to block shit.
So you were really Draymond Green when you wanted to be Ben Wallace?
Dog, I could jump back then. I wasn't like that. But I was
like
I was trying to be
prime
Ben
Draymond.
I was trying to be Ben Wallace. I was trying to be prime Ben. But like that team. So my family used to live in Michigan, like pretty close to Detroit. And I went to a Pistons game. This was like Andre Drummond's rookie year. Dog, I had a great fucking time. This is before they moved back downtown. And one of the things I will give the Pistons props for is, unlike a lot of teams who have moved from their city out to the suburbs, the Pistons moved back downtown. I respect that. Heavy.
Little Caesars
Especially in
Arena.
a city like Detroit, that's like 70, almost 80% black. I mess with that. I mess with that heavy.
Well, and I feel like especially a city that like was hit especially hard by like white flight, like people leaving for the suburbs.
So hard.
Right? Like it got hit probably the hardest of most major American cities. And so I feel like, it's really.
Lyric, he said the city got a wild rep. That's why over 700,000 left. Like that's.
Yeah.
It used to be one of the biggest cities in the country.
Yeah. I mean, Motown. Like, I don't know.
No. Motown
if you
Museum.
Don't,
incredible.
I gotta go. I really gotta go. I'm a huge Motown fan, to be honest. So I really gotta go.
It's just two houses. It's incredible though.
Yeah, I gotta go. We made some good friends. We call them the Michigan Lesbians. We met them at a.
Sounds like the name of a sports team. Sounds like the name of a lacrosse team. The Michigan.
Yeah, the Michigan Lesbians. No, we went to when my partner and I went to Chicago. We ended up our first game. We ended up sitting next to this couple, and they were from Lesbian. Oh my god, they're from Lesbian. They're from Michigan.
They were from Lesbos. They were Greeks.
They were Greeks. No, they were from Michigan, and we ended up staying friends with them. And we called them the Michigan Lesbians, but.
Yeah.
We really want to go visit them, but I was like, and they're big, like, sports fans, obviously.
Yeah.
And we hooked up with them again in Toronto for that first WNBA game that was ever in Canada, the first Canada game. They ended up buying extra tickets by accident because one wife bought tickets without the other wife knowing, and then they both bought tickets. And so then they reached out to us. They're like, hey, so if you can come to Toronto, we got free tickets for you. Like, okay. But we want to go visit them, but they promised to take us to like the Motown Museum and take us like they don't live in Detroit, but they're close. And they're like, I made them promise. I'm like, if we come visit you in your dusty ass town in Michigan, you better take me to Detroit, and you better fucking take me to the Motown Museum.
Go to the Motown Museum, and then go get Lebanese food. Go get.
Oh yeah, I've heard the Lebanese food's lit too.
Yes.
I've tried Detroit pizza. It's meh, but I'd like to try it in Detroit for the sake of it.
I love Detroit. I love Detroit style pizza. I really do. There's actually a place in Toronto that's really good. They're a little expensive, but they're really good.
Yeah, I think the problem is that there isn't really like a lot available to me out west, so it's probably not as good. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'd probably fuck with Detroit style pizza better in Detroit. Yeah. But I don't know. I love the Pistons. I'm really happy for them. I would like to go watch a Raptors game in Detroit, even though now the Pistons are good, so now the tickets are going to be more expensive. So that kind of sucks. But.
It's unfortunate.
But
Lions tickets expensive now too.
Crazy turn of events. But I don't know. The Pistons are just one of those teams where it's like they are, to me, like when I think about the NBA, I weirdly think about the Detroit Pistons. Like I don't know why, but the Pistons like come to mind for me as a team. Like they're just, I think because the Lions have been so meh forever, like so shitty forever, but the Pistons have had moments of glory. And the Pistons, I think, more than the Lions ever had like an identity and like basketball fit with like the city, and like they just embraced, like they embodied the culture of Detroit and like everything about Detroit. And especially when we were growing up, right? They were like the Ben Wallace teams. They were good.
Yeah.
So then to see them go through
Rip
the period.
Hamilton.
I'm a Rasheed Wallace gal personally. Loved Sheed forever.
That's my mom's favorite player in that era. My mom's favorite player. And before Rasheed, she was always like whoever's the cutest. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I like Rick Fox. That's my favorite player. Then Rasheed Wallace came around, and he was so one of one.
You know what's really funny?
Wallace fan.
I've met a few female sports fans like that who were kind of like, meh, like didn't care that much. They kind of liked whatever, like the attractive player or whatever. Like they weren't like big fans, so whatever. But then that bad boy player comes around. So my grandma was Tiger Williams with the Vancouver Canucks. Like didn't really care about hockey, but loved like the player who got suspended all the time for everything, always. Okay, of all the people to pick, love that for you. Anywho, all right. Well, next one's you.
What we got?
Ron Swanson. I know what I'm about.
Oh, I know what I'm about, son. So, a lot of jokes the last handful of years about how the Bulls and the Hawks are destined for the play-in every season. Right now, as of recording, the number 9 seed in the Eastern Conference, your 20-22 Chicago Bulls. Number 10, your 20-25 Atlanta Hawks.
Remember?
It feels like fate, like a struggle between two, like, deities who are, like, predestined to lock horns for eternity. The Bulls and the Hawks have to face off in the play-in every year, or it's not official. It's like a protected college football rivalry, where it's like, man, every year Notre Dame and USC have to play each other, no matter what what the other respective team's standings are, who's coaching, blah blah blah. The Bulls and the Hawks have to fucking be in the play-in. They just have to be.
It's like a stoppable force meeting a movable object.
Yeah.
Remember the hallowed days of September when the Bulls were like actually good?
Man, they started out hot and then immediately turned back into Chicago.
Yeah. Of all the cities to deserve a good team, Chicago is one of them, and they don't have that at all. Oh boy. I think they just need to rename the play-in to the Atlanta Hawks Chicago Bulls Memorial 9-10 play-in game. Because, yeah. I don't think we need to spend much time on this award.
Yeah, I'm just looking at like play-in history because I'm curious. Yeah, in the East. Let's see what we got here. 22, we have the Hawks participating, but not the Bulls, interestingly. The next year, we got the Hawks. Interesting. All right, 2023, 2024, we got the none of them. Fuck. I might be tripping. Are the Bulls not as frequent playing participants?
The Bulls less. The Hawks, yes. The Bulls a bit less. The Bulls, well, like the most famous play-in moment of the Bulls for me was against the Raptors and the DeMar DeRozan daughter screaming at every free throw. I'll never forget that. I don't know if you knew about that, but that was a thing. She missed school to scream at the Raptors.
They've both been in the last 2 years.
Okay,
for
well,
sure.
close
The Bulls
enough.
have been in 3
They've
times.
made more appearances than any other team, I'm pretty sure.
The Hawks have been in 4 times. The Bulls have been in 3 times.
And we've only had the tournament for 5 years, so they've made it the most of any other team.
Yeah. They've been frequent visitors.
Yeah, frequent flyers. They're earning frequent flyer miles in the play-in tournament. Yeah.
They should host it in Atlanta every year.
I don't know. My enduring memory of the Bulls play-in is against the Raptors when DeMar DeRozan's daughter just screamed.
Amazing.
A lot. Yeah.
Shout out to DeRozan, who likes to...
It was actually obnoxious as hell, but she's... Yeah, it was obnoxious as hell, but she's cute, and DeMar is a franchise legend, so we'll let it slide. Speaking of franchise legends, the Maximum Effort Award is... We weren't actually going to give this award because, well, we didn't have a Raptor picked, but we're going with Jamal Shed because he's a dog, and he is like... the spiritual embodiment of Fred VanVleet and Kyle Lowry. Can't shoot like VanVleet or Lowry, but he's like got 25% of the ass of Kyle Lowry and as much of the audacity, so we're into it. Yeah.
He just gotta grow that ass, man. He gotta hit that up.
He needs to be doing some squats. Need to talk to him about his glute gains. Yeah, we need to chat. Jamal, call me.
Some of these, I forgot what they're called, but he gotta hit some
the
of those.
Adductor. Yeah, no.
There we go, man.
As a girly with a big ass, I need Jamal to call me. I know how to develop glutes, and I will help him get to Kyle Lowry levels. He needs to be doing RDLs all day long, air day.
I went to Madame Tussauds, and they had J-Lo's ass like as a like wax figure. I feel like Kyle Lowry should be in the NBA Hall of Fame as just like
his ass.
I mean?
Yeah,
just the yeeks. You know what I mean? Just like post.
The statue the Raptors eventually build of Kyle Lowry will definitely be him taking a charge.
It'll be him grifting for a foul.
It'll be him crawling between the...
tackling somebody and then falling to the ground and being like,
Oh my god, no. It's gonna be him crawling between Grant Hill's legs. That's gonna be it. Anyway, shout out to Kyle. Love him. But no, Jamal Shed is like, he's actually been a straight up revelation, because quickly, I still love him and I'm very excited about him, but he has not been amazing. He's been very streaky and inconsistent, but the fact that him and Shed can play together is very helpful. They're undersized, but Shed guards up significantly.
Yeah.
And allows Quickly to play a bit more off ball, which I think has been helpful for Quickly's decision making, which is a little bit erratic. Shed's just a classic kind of point guard guy, but he is a dog, and I love him. And him and Brandon Ingram have kind of created a fast friendship, which has been nice. But Jamal Shed is like, last year I really enjoyed him, but his offense was spotty enough that you're like, I don't know, man. Like, staying on the court is gonna be hard, like, for him. But he has improved enough on offense this year, especially his drives to the rim. He's finishing a lot better at the rim than he was before. His three-point shooting is still a little streaky, but it's improved significantly. He's just more comfortable, I think, shooting and like playing NBA offense, but his defense has remained incredible. Watching him and Scotty and CMB on the floor together is frankly incredible. And actually, what's even more incredible about it is that it's made Brandon Ingram play defense. He's playing the best defense of his entire career.
Not the highest bar.
And Darko actually, like, kind of called it out. Like, in a press conference, he was like, I think Brandon saw the way that our guys were playing in Summer League and was like, that's the level of defense I'm expected to play. Okay. And, like, he obviously gets a pass because he's our most important offensive player in terms of, like, scoring in the half court. But his length has been genuinely helpful, and he's played very well, and he's been a very good defender this year. And I think that a big part of that is seeing players like Jamal Shed and Scotty and these other guys just get after it. And Colin Murray-Boyles should probably win Rookie of the Year. He won't, but he should. Anyways, so Jamal Shed wins Maximum Effort Award this year. Josh Hart was last year's winner, but this year it's Jamal.
So I don't have a ton to say about them, but the Duke Deuce Back to Life Award. Last year was the Detroit Pistons. They resurrected the entire franchise, not even just
the franchise. Yeah, wasn't even their season, just the whole that's the franchise,
the whole everything. They've recovered from the Joe Dumars, like, embers.
Speaking of Joe Dumars being in New Orleans.
Man. But this year, I'm giving it to, I guess, the LA Clippers, which is weird because, man, disaster of an early part of the season. Bradley Beal done early. Team looking like doo-doo. Possibly giving up a high pick to the Oklahoma City Thunder, which is the worst-case scenario probably for the rest of the entire league. Clippers have won 8 out of 10. They've recovered. They're 19-23 right now. They're in a play-in spot. A team that looked old and shitty and poorly planned has finally, started to get a little momentum. Kawhi Leonard's averaging 28 points a game. 50% shooting from the field and 40% from three. He's played 30 games. He's been healthy-ish. Zubats has been good. Harden has been fucking hooping for somebody his age. I don't think they're going to do shit in the postseason, but
absolutely not.
They're at least playing with some honor, and they're at least going to get that Thunder pick out the lottery, man. Like, they look like they could at least make the playoffs, maybe. So, shout out to the Clippers for reviving their season, because it looked dire. And the Blazers are the Blazers, and the Warriors just lost Jimmy Butler to a torn ACL. Those are the two teams ahead of them in 9th and 8th. So the Clippers have a very real shot at getting a top 8 seed and, fighting for a postseason spot in the play-in.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot going on with that team.
Yeah.
Pablo Torre added another story to the Kawhi Leonard free money saga, so that's a thing. But yeah, Kawhi's been playing well. The team is a little better. Looks like Brook Lopez is fitting in a bit better. Some of their offseason choices are working better, but it's Jim Harden. He's going to suck in the playoffs. They're not going to be very good. It is what it is. But you're right. They're going to get that pick out of the lottery. I guess for the sake of time, we should speed it up. But we'll move on to our next award, because there's not a lot to say about the Clippers, and to be honest, I don't have a lot of interesting things to say about them. They exist. A runner-up for that award was the Cavaliers, who have also kind of revived their season a little. Anyways, but the next award, we have the Jim and Pam Will They or Won't They award, and that's going to go to, also again, so the Warriors won last year with the whole will they trade for Jimmy Butler or won't they? The Warriors win again this year for will they trade Jonathan Kuminga or won't they?
Is this like season 4 of the...
At least season 2.
This is the second story that we've done about a podcast being involved in trade talks. In the same way that Rich Paul came on and advocated for trading for Jaren Jackson to the Lakers, we have Draymond Green talking about how nice a dude Jonathan Kuminga is, probably in the hopes that the Warriors trade him for somebody a little more impactful. I don't think I've ever seen a teammate talk somebody up to try to boost his trade value in a podcast. This is an interesting era of sports media that we live in. That's for sure.
Yeah. A lot going on there. I don't know. The Kuminga thing is messy. Like Steve Kerr and Kuminga, I think, just are oil and water at this point. They will not get along. Don't think it's gonna end well. But I also don't know what they're gonna get for Kuminga either. At the same time, I'm I don't know, at a bit of a loss there. But I think they have to trade him because at this point, like, what's he gonna do? But I will be right back.
We got another one that we made up for this year. This is not a recurring award. This is a first timer. We got the Karl Marx Proletarian of the Award, Proletarian of the Year awards. This one goes to Victor Wembanyama. I know the Comrade Wemby memes have been going around the internet for basically the entire season. Wemby, kind of an interesting character among NBA players. People asked him about the financial award for winning the NBA Cup. And he was like, oh, poor Wemby, he needs more money. Got him talking about Las Vegas as this sort of post-capitalism, like, hellscape. And then, now you got Wemby out here being a man of the people, starting up the Jackals, a fan group in San Antonio, selected, auditioned, trying to build up a sporting culture that mirrors what they had in Europe, especially with the PSG Ultras. Like, he's trying to bring Ultras culture to America. A group of super dedicated fans that have chants and songs and all these things that stand for the entire game and that keep the crowd going at all times, as opposed to the typical, we listen to whatever music's on the PA, and you clap, defense. Like, trying to bring, something more exciting to the fan culture, mirroring that sort of European sports culture, bringing that to the States. I think the fact that he thinks it's his mission to advance sporting culture in the country and not just, be a superstar, get his money, whatever, I think it's super, super interesting. I think Wemby is definitely the most interesting player we have right now in the NBA.
Yeah,
as far as personality, as far as his goals, what he values. He's a fascinating dude, and I think it's really cool that we get to live in his era.
He's a fun follow-up to Jokic in this terms of, like, interesting personality, because I still think Jokic is also one of the more interesting people because he just doesn't let people in. At least, like Wemby's pretty open. Like, he talks about things and what he's interested in, and he's fascinating. Like, they're both fascinating, but in slightly different ways, where it's like, you see Jokic's interest because he does them, but he's not that engaged with, like, the culture necessarily. The Taco Bell bit has been actually genuinely very funny. I've actually enjoyed that because it's obviously pretty put on, but, like, I'm kind of enjoying it. But, like, Wemby, yeah, he's, like, super fascinating, and I'm really digging the, like, I don't know how to put this, like, his foray into politics without actually, like, saying anything openly. I don't know, like, exactly, like, the award title is, like, perfect, the Proletariat of the Year, because it's just like Comrade Wemby. I don't know, like, he posts things, and it's like he still kind of posts on social media like someone who isn't famous like he is. He's media trained, but also not media trained. Like, there's just a lot of interesting, like, tidbits about him, and he's kind of fascinating. And I love that he's, like, trying to, and I think San Antonio is actually a perfect city for him to do that kind of thing in, because it's the only pro sports team they have, as far as I'm aware. And there's such a deep culture with the Spurs, too. Plus, there's also such a deep culture and, like, connection with the Hispanic community, which obviously Wemby isn't, but just the, like, fact that there are such deep ties to community and things within the Spurs and the Spurs fandom is just really cool. And then also the fact that the Spurs have had a lot to cheer for a long time. They've had a lot of, like, good teams to cheer for and championships to celebrate. And now they have this new unique player who's kind of putting his own spin on, like, the fan culture and just, like, the culture of the team is really cool. And, like, him and Keldon Johnson, like, shaving their heads and, like, just funny shit like that, where I'm like, okay, like, I kind of dig this. I love this. I love this for the team. I'm happy for the city of San Antonio.
That, like, being a person, he's somebody who seems to be very driven to be a great player, but he wants to be a dude also.
Yeah, I think you saw that too with, like, Jokic, like, the reaction to, like, his reactions, like, after winning the championship, like, oh good, now I get to go home now, and, like, being like, there's a parade on Thursday, like, fuck, like, because it was,
or even
people
Giannis, like, when he didn't win the championship that one year, and they asked him about it, and he's like, dude, like, I have, like, a happy life outside of basketball.
Yeah,
like, that's what matters to me. Like, I have a championship already. Like, I have a wife and kids, and
I
things
think
matter.
My take on this is that it comes back to kind of what we've talked about, like, the difference between, like, European and American basketball is just that, like, I think there's another, and I don't think it's really a thing about Europe specifically, but I do think there's just
Yeah.
more. I mean, actually, no, I lied. That is a thing. I do think it's a thing because it actually exists in like outside of sports culture, but like corporate
Yeah.
culture. There's a ton
Yeah.
of memes that go around about how like, you message some like European in like the middle of the summer and like they'll be like, well, I'm on vacation for the next 5 weeks. See you in
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah. Fuck
September.
off.
Yeah. I'm not responding to you. Meanwhile, like, your American counterpart is like on vacation and responding via their phone. And it's real to me because I do think like just work-life balance as like a whole, as a culture, is very different in North America than it is in Europe. And I think you see that, and it's embodied with sports with players like Kobe, who are like the ultimate corporate dude,
Yeah.
Like Kobe is like the ultimate corporate employee. Like he's all about climbing the ladder, doing the right, he works hard for sure. There's no denying that, but it's all about the grind. It's about, checking your fucking emails at midnight and all that kind
Yeah.
of bullshit,
If you're not
right?
shooting jumpers at 3 a.m., what the fuck are you doing?
Right. And I think that this new breed of European of player, and I'm not even going to say it's like just the new breed of player. I suspect most players have been like this forever. It's just that because of social media and player branding and et cetera, we know these people more. It's like we're starting to see that manifest in sports culture where we're like, oh, like the best players and the best player on the planet is a lot more invested in horse racing than he is in basketball. But at the same time, that he wouldn't be the best basketball player on the planet if he wasn't also equally invested in basketball. He clearly gives a shit about what he's doing. He just and wants to be great. He just doesn't want to express it in the same, like, honestly kind of arrogant way that a lot of players do. And it's not to say that they're arrogant, but just like that confident, like, I'm the best and I'm gonna be the best. And it's like I think we expect that out of like North American and specifically American culture, right? Is always just like that confidence, and not even confidence, it's like the wrong word. It's like just the expectation that you're gonna like vocalize like what you're gonna be. And like I think that for these European players, it's like it's not that they don't want to be the best, they clearly want to be the fucking best. Wemby's been like groomed since he was a baby, essentially, to be the best. Right? Like
Yeah, that's all.
Jokic kind of wasn't, but like Wemby really was groomed to be the player that he is. But the fact that he still is a fairly well-balanced person outside of that is even more fascinating than even a player like Jokic, who wasn't really ever like actually pegged to be that guy, right? Whereas Wemby has been groomed in a different kind of way, and he has a lot more like interesting. Because even like Luka was groomed to be the star, and I don't really know that much about his personality.
Yeah, Wemby out here reading books before games and not just the first page.
And like actually reading, yeah,
He's not
right?
reading, and now he's not reading 48 Laws of Power. He's reading like fantasy novels. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
But even if he's fucking reading the Communist Manifesto, he's actually reading it.
You know what? If there was a player in the league who I thought might have actually read the Communist Manifesto,
Oh no, I
I
can
would
guarantee.
I would put a solid $6.50 on it being Victor Wembanyama.
No, I would actually almost guarantee he's read the Communist Manifesto.
Yeah.
He'll never post about it, and it won't be public, but he's absolutely read Karl Marx. Like, there's no way he hasn't.
At least some quotes.
Yeah, I mean, actually, Jokic definitely has, because Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
He grew up in the shadows of communism, so he definitely
it was
read.
required of him.
Yeah, it was required reading for him. But for Wemby, like, I don't even know if it would be for Jokic. It's kind of a war zone where he grew up. But anyway,
Yeah.
at the time he grew up. But it is weird actually thinking about that like when Jokic was a child, there's like bombs going off. It's kind of crazy. But like,
God, what was his name? Boban. The Boban stories.
Boban.
I read a story about him. And he was talking about, being a child and then in Serbia during the war. And he was saying that, like, at night, his whole family would sleep in the same room because if the bombs fell on them, they would all die together. And that was the most heartbreaking shit I've ever read.
I did not know that.
Brutal.
That's
That was
upsetting.
so brutal. Yes.
Yeah, that's upsetting.
Very upsetting.
Well, I can only imagine the story as if we get a Palestinian player in the NBA one day.
My God.
Yeah, no. Damn. Anyways, Wemby, I don't know. He's an interesting dude, and I think he's cool. I don't know. I was like unsure how to. I gotta admit, like I was a little unsure how to feel about Wemby coming into the NBA. Not because I wasn't intrigued by his talent, but just I'm like I don't know. Maybe it's just like the deep down hipster in me, where I'm a little bit like unsure when people are kind of like very much like talking up a certain player or a certain thing, and I'm like I don't know, like. But he's like he's more interesting than I think I expected. And I think that makes me like him more because obviously he's extremely talented and there's really no denying what he does on the court is crazy. But just like, I don't know, just the personality side of things has kind of been nice to see that he's not just a complete groomed media trained robot. Because a little bit, that's kind of what Luka is. That's what Luka... Yeah. Luka gives the vibe of like because Luka was kind of the first like teenage prodigy from Europe, right? He was won EuroLeague MVP at 16, like whatever. But
Yeah.
I think there's a bit more media training going on there, and a little more like he's just more reticent to show his personality. Whereas I think Wemby he cares a little bit less about that.
Well, he also had like a pro basketball like father. You know what I mean? His dad was a
Luka?
coach. Yeah, yeah. His dad
Yeah.
was a coach in the Slovenian league. I think he played professional ball potentially, but like he probably would have been around, pro hoops.
Yeah,
Since
I
a
also
baby.
think
Like in a Steph Curry kind of way, as opposed to like a Boban. His dad was just like a guy. His dad was like 5'4", man. He wasn't no fucking
yeah.
hooper.
Well, even Jokic, like his dad isn't. His brothers played basket. His
Yeah.
older brother played basketball and ultimately sacrificed his
Totally
basketball
played a lot
career.
of stuff.
But they're a lot older than Jokic, which I think people kind of forget. They're like at least 10 years older. Like there's a big age difference. But his one brother like legit sacrificed his own career to like make Jokic's happen.
Yeah.
Actually, Mike Singer's book on Jokic was genuinely one of the coolest books I've ever read. It was really interesting just because it's a player that doesn't grant access to people and doesn't like want people sniffing around this shit. So it was cool. It was a lot more interesting than even like something like LeBron's story, which is cool and interesting, but it's like it's been told a lot and he's very open about it and talks about it and whatever. It was kind of cool reading about somebody else, but yeah, I don't know. Wemby, like I would read the version of Wemby's book that will come out later about his like childhood, but it's interesting because he was groomed to be this professional player, but at the same time, I appreciate that he has more balance to him. And as much as we mock the French, I think that's also a big part of it is that like France is a very strong culture intellectually and all these things, and so it makes sense that it kind of trickled down to him.
Yeah.
Not all sports like athletes and jocks are fucking blockheads, They read too. So believe it or not, but this award perfect for me, the White Boy of the Year. So we have a few nominees for White Boy of the Year. On Christmas Day, it was looking like Tyler Kolek was going to be the runaway winner, but he's actually...
He was hoping. He looked like the
Christmas Day was a good fucking game. Good game for the White Boys, for Tyler Kolek. He crushed it. He really vindicated the whole, like, why didn't Tibbs play him more, people.
Man, he was looking like Marty Supreme on the court, man. I'm telling you.
He was. However, he did not win because his play has fallen off, and White Boy of the Year is going to go to Con Knipple, which is possibly also the whitest boy of white boy names possible.
I feel like, and this is an interesting conversation, maybe for another day, but we never consider, like, the white Europeans when we talk about White Boy of the Year. It's always, it feels like it's a very white American-centric.
Huh. Yeah, you're right.
Why don't we consider the Slavic dudes?
Why isn't Jokic White Boy of the Year every year?
Yeah.
No. That's a fair fucking question. That is a fair question. I do think, and no, but I actually, that's a really fair question. I think it has a lot to do with just how we view Europeans as almost like a separate, like, it's like a separate race in the NBA.
Yeah. It's
not.
Like in basketball, like when JJ Redick was balling at Duke, he got like a Great White Hope vibe from the basketball community in a way that Peja Stojakovic never did.
No.
Peja Stojakovic was a vastly superior player on a bigger stage.
Absolutely.
In the finals. Why don't we consider the European dudes?
Well, but even when you think about like how like I mean discourse like as a culture I think has shifted slightly since this, but like Bird versus Magic, right? And like Bird is the Great White Hope. Like Jokic versus Embiid. Jokic never got Great White Hope. Like
he didn't get Larry Bird. He didn't get Larry Bird treatment. He didn't get Bird Magic. Jokic and Embiid never got Bird Magic.
But I think, to be honest, the biggest reason for that is that it just is very specific, not specific. I mean, it's specific to American culture and the NBA. Like, it's more of a specific topic, I guess.
Yeah.
Like,
there's a whole, like, racial dynamic with, like, and Bomani Jones like to joke about this too, but, like, oh man, like, they kind of ceded, like, just like the name Tyrone, the Irish people ceded that to black people in America.
Yeah.
Like, they kind of ceded basketball to black people in a way that, like, in Europe, if you're from, like, Serbia, Lithuania, Slovenia, there ain't really black people there, to be honest.
No, but you're also
not, like, you don't have that, like, racial self-consciousness where you're like, we can't be great basketball. You know what I mean? You just think.
There's also the element of, like, it's interesting, though, that you say that, because it made me think of how those people from those countries are viewed in Europe. Because when I was living in Finland, like, Poles, like, Eastern Europeans are, like, how North American white people view non-white North American people.
Yeah.
Like, like, it's...
The Europeans love a good, like, intro white person racism.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, the Finns, the amount of...
world, but
The amount of hate the Finns were throwing at Polish people who are working there, I'm like, huh, okay, that's new. Like,
even ask the Danes or the Norwegians about Swedes, man.
oh, they hate each other. I mean, the Finns, like, so the Finns have this famous saying, and it's like, Swedes we are not, and Russians we will not become. And it's because they've been a colonized country their whole fucking time. They only became a country in 1917, like, because the
good.
Swedes, they were Eastern Sweden until like the 1800s, and then Peter the Great took over Finland, and then they were Western Russia.
And it's crazy because Swedish and Finnish not even mutually intelligible languages.
No, not at all.
It's not like Danish and Norwegian where there's like a lot of overlap where you can kind of understand each other. Dog, Swedish and Finnish are not even close.
Danish, Swedish, and Norwegian are all like Danish, Swedish, Norwegian, and Icelandic are all technically related languages,
Yeah.
but Finnish is only related to Hungarian and Estonian, and I actually weirdly Korean has some very like basic.
Super fascinating.
Yeah, so the but it's the Finno-Ugric language group, and it's basically 3 countries. It's Finland, Estonia, and Hungary. And then there's some, apparently I've heard some like linguists talk about connections, like I think to structure similar to Korean, but Hungarian, Finnish, and Estonian are the only 3 languages connected to each other.
Finland, a weird, like anomalous country.
Too many vowels. So many vowels. Disturbing.
I almost moved there. Sometimes I wish I did. But
you should have. It was amazing. I would move back.
It was
100%.
It was going to be January. I really should not have.
I moved there in January, bro. But to be fair, I'm from Canada, so
instead. That was not a bad move. Shout out to Australia.
I moved to Finland in January too, but to be fair, I'm from Canada, so it's different. I guess I don't know. I knew it was different. It is cool though, but I don't know. But I do think like white European players kind of get viewed like differently, and I think you're right. That's an interesting point. But I think it's just
nobody made Danilo Gallinari the Great White Hope, even though
no.
New York is full of Italian Americans. You would have loved to do that. If it's Italian American, they would have did that shit in a second.
Well, look at fucking Dante. I mean, I think it's
that heavy though, because Dante presents as black.
No, he did. But I think that it is absolutely just like an American like dynamic, but it also comes from just like American like is exceptionalism.
Dante don't talk like Vinny from Long Island. He talks like a brother, man. That's why they don't fuck with Dante that heavy.
No, it's true. But like I just think that like the Great White Hope thing is like very like and like not viewing European players that way. It's a very like American like xenophobia thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Like being afraid, not even afraid, but like like it's actually kind of a xenophobic thing because it's like we still don't view even though they're white, they're not really white.
Yeah, it's a separation of white American, the broader white American identity with like white, like globally.
Yeah. So, anyways, Con Kniffle is so anyway.
Yeah, American ethnic history is wildly fascinating.
So fascinating.
Anyone who's ever read a book on like the creation of whiteness as a concept, it is incredibly interesting. Also very weird. Yeah, it's just a time. It's worth reading about. I meant to look into this, but is Con Kniffle Dutch? His name kind of gives Northern European for sure.
He's from Wisconsin, so that tracks.
Knuppel name origin German? Yeah, that makes sense. Knuppel. It means cudgel or stick.
He's from the same group of white people that I am, so that tracks. Dutch/German. Yeah. I did think it was super cute that his parents had the entire Hornets team over for dinner.
It was adorable. I can't imagine what they talked about with LaMelo and Bridges.
Not bringing up Bridges' rape allegations is probably real tough for everybody.
They probably weren't that plugged in. They probably
no, probably not. I'll give his family that pass. I'm sure they weren't, but I'm just like I don't know. But anyways, actually, from the basketball perspective, though, he's real fucking good. Kind of hate that he's already proving to be a bit of a Raptor killer, which I don't like. And
mediocre rapper, though, I will say, not an especially talented.
Sorry, I said Raptors killer. Like
I said rapper. He's making.
I'm sure he sucks. Probably terrible. He's a white dude. Can't be good.
Oh, let's talk about Miles Bridges.
I'm back to Con. You're talking about Miles, like whatever.
I wouldn't even be interested in making a rap album like that.
No, not at all. That's why I was confused. I'm like rapper. Like I don't. Do you know something I don't know about Con? Anyway, so my bottle's empty. That explains a lot. But
mine is getting close. Mine is not far off. I'm very mentally sharp right now.
Yeah. No, but Con, like the Hornets are, like legit better when he's on the floor. And it's pretty crazy.
You fucking shoot that thing too.
So I think when LaMelo, Knipple, and Brandon Miller play, they're like one of the top seeds in the East, or they're pretty high in like record. But then when one of them is missing, which is often, they're not very good.
I almost made a terrible joke. I'm so glad I saved myself. I'm glad I have enough self-control left. I was gonna say Knipple shooting that thing and then just I'm not even gonna say what the name was. I'm not gonna say it. But
you have to text that to me now.
He's shooting 43.5% from three. So
he's a flamethrower. I'm gonna need you to send me that joke though offline because I need to see that. Oh God, yeah. Another famous Wisconsin shooter.
No, they're from the same place.
Yeah, I think so.
No,
I'm pretty sure.
It's Milwaukee. He's from Milwaukee. I did not know that.
Who? Con?
I didn't know Knipple was from Milwaukee.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Really boy. Yeah.
Anyway.
We need to move on to our last award of the year so that we don't get ourselves in more trouble. And I'm going to leave the floor to you.
The See You Again award for Man Gone Too Soon goes to none other than Knicks/Suns legend campaign. I ran into some tweets talking about... Yeah, we talked about the campaign situation earlier in the pod. I forgot about that.
We did. Yeah.
Cam was apparently the key to unlocking Karl-Anthony Towns. He was also a spirited defender, an all-around goofy guy who mastered the pregame dap in the layup lines and stuff like that.
He
genuinely cool guy.
He could also win award for grossest jump shot in the NBA.
Really weird jump shot, turns completely sideways. I don't think I've ever seen somebody shoot it like that and actually fairly consistently make the shot.
I've been wanting to do a thing where we do like basketball icks, and his jump shot is one of mine.
Yeah, one of the strangest shot forms I've seen in the modern era, because I feel like we used to see really unique jump shot forms all the time. Like all the time. Like guys would, because they grew up playing on the playground, a lot of it was like self-taught, or they would carry over their shot form from when they were like 8, when they were heaving a full-size ball onto a hoop that was too high for their age group, and they would carry that shit over and keep working within that form. Now
and long distance shooting wasn't important in the same way.
Yeah, everyone learns perfect form from camps and skill trainers and all this shit. Shooting coaches. For campaign in this day and age to have that weird ass shot feels kind of shocking. But he can.
Well,
he's a 38% or no 37% 3-point shooter.
Even thinking back to like when I played basketball, I don't know about you, but I remember like pretty strategic like training about how to shoot.
My shot was always weird. I shot like fucking, I don't know what, my wrist is fucked up.
Maybe this is the difference. I'm curious now because I don't know. I was taught very like square like jump shooting, and like the classic.
Growing up, every women's playwright knew had a picturesque jump shot.
Okay,
and every dude
actually,
I knew shot fucking weird as shit.
Let me riff on this for you. I have a thought. I have takes on this actually.
Yeah.
So when I was doing. So my general take on anything really in any sport is that if you want to watch proper technique in anything, watch women's sports. Yeah. So when I was doing I became a certified curling coach, and when I was doing my training, the coach, like the guy who was coaching me essentially, never showed what every like demonstration video he showed was always of women's curlers, and he was like, if you want to know the in curling, actually a curling like delivery is almost like a jump shot. Where your form very much matters. But in some cases, like if you've been doing it so long the same way, you know how it works and it's okay. So like a player like Mikal Bridges or Campaign, like by the time they get to the NBA, like you're not going to change their shot because it's clearly working the way it is, right? So you're not going to. Yeah. So when you watch like men's curling, you watch all these different curlers come out and all their slides are a bit different and they're pretty like wonky, like to be honest, if you know anything about it. And when you watch it, you're like, that's not replicable at all. That person is just athletic enough to be able to like handle this amount of load on their knees in like the case of a curling delivery, right? Because you're in a very like prone position. But he was explaining that he's like, if you want to learn how to technically throw a rock properly, watch women's curling, because women don't have the physical just like athleticism to overcome the technique, whereas men can kind of like overcome a technique by just being strong enough to do it. And I think in all sports it's kind of the same. Like my dad is a huge golfer, and he was like, when I want to learn anything about golfing, I watch women's golf, because like me watching Bryson Beauchamp or whatever like fucking like ring a ball like 500 yards isn't helping me. His form is weird. I'm going to watch Brooke Henderson because she can't drive it obviously as far, but I'm more relatable to her technique. And when my parents came to the WNBA Edmonton game with me and my partner, and my dad like left being a fan, well, I mean, I wouldn't say he's a fan, but he really enjoyed it because he was like, this is more relatable to me. Like, and not seeing a bunch of dudes play above the rim and just like rely on raw athleticism. Like, obviously, the women are athletic. I'm not trying to say they're not. Women are obviously very athletic. But the sport tends to be more true to its like techniques when women play because we kind of need the technical skill as much as the athleticism to make it work. We can't just overcome athleticism. Or we can't just overcome a skill with athleticism.
You can't just jump from the free throw line and just like
right? Like, and it's not to say like that's, you know, like, I mean, obviously more women are dunking. Women can start to play above the rim. That's a thing that's going to be, it's going to happen. Like evolution of just people and the game, right? It's going to happen. We're not telling women it's dangerous to fucking run too much, right? Like you're training for it. We're not telling women it's dangerous to dunk now or whatever, because that's been a thing forever, right? Like the first woman who ran the Boston Marathon got told it was too dangerous for women to run that long. Like, you know, there's just been a lot of like terrible science that's fed it, like sexist and terrible science that's fed into this. But generally speaking, obviously, there are like just limitations to like physicality, right? We don't build muscle the same way. Like female, like our chest muscles will always be smaller. It's always going to be harder for women to do certain like pull-ups, things like that. It's always gonna be harder. It just is the way it is. And so I think with sports, you see that a little bit where like watching women's hockey, like they are technically a lot more sound in so many ways.
They're good. They're good.
And
I've covered a number of PWHL games.
Yeah, right? And I think with basketball, like when I watch the WNBA, I see a lot more fundamentals at like an elite level than I do at the NBA.
Yeah, There's not any WNBA bigs who just like cannot shoot from more than 2 feet out, who are just there to like, catch lobs and second chance points. Like everybody's got to be able to at least hit that 15-footer.
Yeah, like at least from the free throw, you have to at least be able to hit from the elbow.
Yeah. You have to, otherwise
you're
not
not
like,
super useful.
Player.
Yeah,
Growing up, like I went to small schools, so I played on like middle school and high school teams where there would be like girls players on the team with the boys, like on the boys team, you know what I mean? And I went to like I played in middle school, high school on like military base teams where we would have like women soldiers on our team. And one thing I always noticed was like if I passed it to one of the women on our team, 15, 18 feet, cash. If open mid-range, always fucking cash. Every fucking time. Because the jumper would always be just the
better.
form, the consistency would always be so good. It wouldn't have that like jankiness from like dudes being like self-taught, like heaving shots when they were 8 years old.
Self-taught or ignored.
Cash every fucking time.
The other thing too is like either self-taught, to your point, or like underdeveloped. Because something that happens, I think, in the men's system is like, and I think some of this is because like I don't really know. I'm just anecdotally like I feel like growth spurts and things like that happen at different age, like just younger. Because I remember when I was playing, like I was very firmly in like middle school age, like when people start really fucking growing. I'm like for women, like we were all kind of like we all practiced the same shit. Like there wasn't a lot of like, hey, the bigs over here, the smalls over here, you know, like there wasn't as much like positional separation because most of us were kind of similar sizes. Whereas I suspect, and I mean, maybe it's different in the US too. Again, like just available
big
players.
schools maybe, but not at small.
Yeah, available players being different, but I suspect there's just a bit more positional coaching at like a younger age in the US, and I think that also impacts things because bigs aren't taught to shoot because that's not your job. Like
I wasn't in the guard drills. Also, I could get above the rim, so like I didn't get that fine tuning on my jumper in the way that like a 4 or a 5 would in the women's game at high school because like
you're not getting above the rim.
I could beat you to the rim and lay it in with just like speed and jumping ability. So I never really had to like, okay, and then you do this and then blah 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 blah.
Like how to square your body and whatever.
Was fine, but like it didn't look nice.
Yeah. Well, and but I think that's like an interesting thing is that just in the way that like women versus men are coached, honestly. But I think it's just because it comes down to same thing with like curling or any other sport, like the athleticism aspect, like high school boys just have more athleticism in most cases than high school girls, right? Like so you're just gonna like there are definitely, and it's not the case for everybody, obviously. I'm not trying to say that like I'm not trying to disparage women anywhere because that's not true, but you know what I mean. Like I just think that like there's just less expectation of like a high school boys team is gonna have one kid who can probably jump high enough to dunk, like really, or who's been trying, right? Whereas like with women, we also just weren't taught that we could learn to jump that high.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's part of it.
The best
Teaching is
middle
a big
school
part of
team
it.
I was on and the best military team I was on both had a woman at point guard because the handle was so secure because the fundamentals of left and right had to be so strong so as to be like a functional and useful player as opposed to like my left hand is ass.
Mine too.
But I was quicker than all the other bigs so I could dribble past people. When I got to a higher level when like dudes were more athletic, I was like, damn, I'm really not
limited.
a primary ball handler. But like I could beat a 4 or a 5 just on straight speed, but like man, like I can't run the point full time. I can't do it because I can't really dribble my left. But like the girl who played point for us in 7th grade, she could fucking handle that shit. The girl who played for us in the military league when I was 17, 18, the staff sergeant or whatever her rank was, she could handle that shit. Nobody was going to steal the ball from her.
My problem is I was like a sort of tweener in terms of size, where I was like a guard, but like I wanted to play in the post. Like I was big for a long time, and then I wasn't all of a sudden. So I didn't really have the requisite dribbling skills.
Green. Wow, that's crazy.
Kind of, pretty much, yeah. I was like a small big, but I like played big, so I like loved being in the post. I just liked hitting people. I think was mostly it. And then I got to I was basically like a 3, but like I couldn't really like shooting wasn't really like a thing. Like long distance shooting wasn't really part of the game when I was growing up. So we weren't really taught to shoot 3s at that age. But I was a good free throw shooter. Like I hit all my free throws, and I was like a good like decent shooter, but like from like the elbows and whatever. But I was just really there to like defend and whatever. Because at some point I was just too small to be the position I wanted to be in my heart.
I was a very good free throw shooter back when everyone was still weak and shooting from their chest. Once we started raising that shit up, my free throws evaporated, man. I couldn't. I was not a good free throw shooter at that point. There's a picture on my Facebook, a profile picture of me missing a free throw.
Amazing.
I don't know why I put that on there, but it's there.
I love that. That's smart. I love it. All right. Well, that's been the 2nd annual Jalen Rosé Midseason Awards. Any runner-ups you want to talk about? Any other like potential awards we didn't do? Anything you want to finish with?
As a final thought, how did you feel about your Rosé?
It was fucking delicious.
Was it Jalen worthy?
It was absolutely Fab 5 worthy. I mean, she empty, so that was delicious.
Yeah, this is the last pour for me. So shout out to Santa Margarita. Shout out to Margarita Pizza as well. I think I might get one tonight.
You should. I'm having tacos because it's Tuesday. Taco Tuesday wasn't actually the implication, but we're doing tacos tonight, so I guess it's Taco Tuesday.
Cineplex has $5 Tuesdays. There's a 9
oh my god!
Showing of...
I used to go to Cheap Tuesday at Cineplex all the time. My friend and I used to go to movies.
9 o'clock showing of No Other Choice, and I kind of want to see it.
Yeah, you should go. My friend and I used to go to Cheap Tuesday all the time. I think I haven't been to one in a while. I don't know. I haven't gone to the movies in a while, to be honest with you. I'm unfortunately one of those people that they disparage in the studio about who haven't returned to the movie theater. It's not even for lack of a want to. It's just like time and like I just don't even know what's coming out anymore. And like I think streaming has ruined a lot. That's beside the point. Anyways, this wine, shout out to Wemby, product of France. Since we're speaking of all-stars, Team World. We're clearly both Team World with the wine.
Mine is Italian, so shout out to Il Gallo, Danilo Gallinari. Shout out to my guy, the Italian Stallion. Nick's legend. Also, shout out to Dante DiVincenzo, aka White Dante.
Actually, I'd like to say one final question for you. Are you willing to say that the Timberwolves might have won the trade after all?
That's a good question. They got back more good players than we did. They got, Devo and Julius Randle.
I feel like Randle's been...
what Randle's contract situation is. This is one of those unfortunate things you got to think about in a caps.
I'm pretty sure he got extended, didn't he?
Probably.
I think they extended him in the offseason.
But,
yeah, regardless. He's like half the price of Cat and equally as good at this point, I would say.
We have gone to a conference final since the trade, and they have not, to be fair.
Didn't they go to the conference finals
last year? I think they got knocked out of the second round.
No, they went to the conference.
2025.
Because they went to back-to-back conference finals. Yeah, it was the Wolves and Thunder. Well, they got smacked by the Thunder, but it's the Thunder who smacked everybody, really.
I'll say they won by like 5%. They came out a little bit ahead.
Yeah. No, I asked because Zach Lowe brought it up on his pod because he had Richard Jefferson on last week and they talked about that. And Zach was like, I'm pretty much ready to say that Wolves kind of won. And RJ was unsure, but I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to know. It depends what you want, I guess. Both teams got to the conference finals, so like it kind of worked out for both teams. But at the same time, like this year, right now, it seems like the Wolves are in a much better space. vibes-wise, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, they're not careening down the standings or whatever.
Yeah, the fact that Knicks are only 2 games in the loss column up from 7th is a little bit scary for them. In a conference that's not that strong. Like, I think it would be one thing if it's the West when everybody is like very tightly bunched together because they're all kind of equally good. The problem in the East is that it's like you are the conference favorites. You should probably be more than 2 games up in the loss column in a terrible conference.
It's not looking super pretty for the Knicks, and I'm gonna go to Knicks Raptors this week.
On Thursday, right?
Yeah, and I'm kind of not as excited about it as I was. Oh no, sorry, next Thursday,
Yeah,
next
okay.
Wednesday. I'm not as excited about it as I was early in the season when.
I feel like the Knicks are probably gonna win because when we played you guys in the NBA
we ain't
Cup,
winning shit. We gave up 70 plus in the first half to the Pelicans. I don't think we winning shit. It's gonna be an uncomfortable.
yeah, the vibes have changed significantly since we played you in the NBA Cups. Yeah.
We might lose by 25 and Cat scores 4 points because he doesn't get to touch the ball the entire game.
Well, the Raptors are playing the Jimmy-less Warriors tonight, so I don't really know how to feel about that.
The Knicks Raptors might be the game that gets Mike Brown fired. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I feel bad for Mike Brown. I think Mike Brown's in like an unenviable position in some ways because it's like he took a pretty tough job and now fucking
kind of a goofy roster too. But
yeah,
it's talent, but does it fit?
Questionable. Well, anyways, this has been a much longer episode than usual. So thanks for everyone. Thanks to everyone who stuck by, listening to us essentially just get drunk on the podcast.
Yeah, I knocked out the entire bottle. We are officially done.
We did it. We crushed 2 bottles of sparkling wine on this podcast. Jalen Rose should be proud. We did.
He should. I read his book. It's decent, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's good. Cool.
Yeah.
I have mixed feelings about him. I like Jalen Rose, but I just also like he's a good player, good, decent commentator. I don't know, whatever. I like him a lot better than fucking Paul Pierce. But they kind of remind me of each other at the same time. Does that make sense?
Fair.
Yeah. But love Jalen Rose. Love Rosé, sparkling Rosé in particular. This Cremant was fucking delicious. Shout out to these guys. Glad your Prosecco crushed it. And I don't know. I got nothing else. I'm gonna go make tacos now.
Follow us on socials. We are at wineanddimepod on Instagram, TikTok, probably Facebook.
The Rotting Corpse on Twitter. Yeah. Yeah, we're not on Facebook officially.
If you're an auntie or an uncle, check us out on... Do we have a Facebook? We have a Facebook.
Well, we don't have an official Facebook, but we have my Facebook, which I do post on. So if you're a relative of mine, you'll see it. Yeah. So...
Later.